Welcome one and all, Lemberdopic here. How are you doing? I'll be with you for the next couple of hours till midday with thrills, spills and some of the best guests anywhere on the broadcasting world. Also, we'll be talking about affairs of the day, not least a little bit of a chit-chat with the big man himself. That's Mr. Mike Graham. He hasn't turned up yet, but I'm sure he's on his way. We'll also be talking to Paul Burgess about one of my favourite subjects, which is the fact that there is no climate emergency, my opinion, but I can back that up. I can definitely back that up with facts. The science is settled. There is no climate emergency. Do feel free to comment on that, especially if you're enraged now. And more than happy to read out your comments on that. If you've got different views. Oh, we got some already. I've got my glasses out.
You're right.
Okay, that's a bit bigger then. Then it is superb. Thank you very much indeed. You wrote that, Pooch, didn't you?
No, I wrote this one.
Whoa, it's the cheeky girls. All right, thank you, front side bus. And another one from you as well, Lembit. One of the few, if only Lib Dem, that I actually like. Yes, well, you see, I used to be a Lib Dem. That's the problem. And good morning to you, Chris Devonade. I think I got that right, yeah. I need to get better glasses. You'll never guess who I bumped into in Specsavers yesterday, Pooch.
No, who's that?
Everybody.
Oh, very good.
Thank you very much.
Who's coming up like that?
That was spontaneous. There we go. And Specsavers, if you would like to sponsor the station, do feel free to get involved. Yes, I'm laughing at my own jokes, actually. One has to find pleasure where it exists. I'll look at the papers in a minute because the great man himself is ambling along to the other seat. So we got Paul Burgess. We'll be talking to him. Stuart Waiton, who's made a bit of a stir, talking about another subject which can rile many of us. Is a man, or can a man be a woman? Ooh. And well, I've got my own views on that based on years of experimentation and research. But you may have a different view. We'll see what Stuart does say about that. And Mr. Menno, if you've never heard or seen him before, he is absolute gold dust. A self-propelled comedy rocket with insights from all over the world. But before that and after the guy who's sitting on my left now, it'll be Lewis Schaefer. Lewis Schaefer is going to be with us. He's an American, a man on a mission, one of the funniest people ever to be born in the United States of America. You were born there, weren't you?
I was born.
He could be the American president in that case, unlike myself. But the man who is the best president America ever had is here now. It's Mike Graham.
Hello. I didn't see Lewis over there. Hi, Lewis. How are you?
Hello, Mike.
How's it going? We're about to do a podcast together, you know. But we haven't managed to get it together yet. But soon. Maybe next week, I think.
Can wait.
Can you wait? I can wait. How are you?
No, it doesn't matter. You've just taken over the show,
Sorry.
Mike.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah, well, carry on.
No. Listen, I'll be very meek and mild, and I'll do as I'm told.
It's good.
Ask me anything you want.
It's good to see. Well, how was your show this morning?
Really good, actually. Really good. We started talking about fish a lot.
Why?
I don't know. We sometimes segue into these things without really realising. First of all, there's an anchovy shortage coming.
No.
Yeah.
I love anchovies.
Do you? Well, apparently the Peruvians have told the fishermen of Peru, which is where they all come from, that they can't fish for them because of El Nino. Because apparently the waters are too warm, and so the anchovies are not swimming where they're meant to swim. El Sardinio, very good. So there's going to be an anchovy shortage coming, apparently. But also, I was talking to my daughter last night. We were out in this very nice Portuguese restaurant in London, and there's a shortage of sardines. And she tells me that the reason why is that all these sort of TikTok influencers are telling everyone they should be eating sardines. So if you go, because my dog loves a sardine, and I try and get like sardines in spring water all the time, and there's never any in the shops because all these bloody influencers are eating them.
Sardines used to be like the poor man's food.
Yeah, it's sardine and tomato sandwich or something like that, right?
I used to love that as a kid.
You can't get them.
Do you like them too?
I love them.
Everyone says there's unanimous support for sardines here.
So this is the thing. So despite the fact that we had all sorts of political conversations as well, we talked a lot about fish.
Fish a lot. It sounds like some remake of a Shakespearean farce.
Yes. What bloody fish is this? or something.
Well, I was thinking about something a lot, wasn't it? Spam-a-lot.
Spam-a-lot?
Spam-a-lot.
Yeah, that was Monty Python, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was it an
Yeah.
offshoot of Monty Python or something? Yeah, I seem to
No one
think.
expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody does expect this. All the plump cushions.
How can you afford to go out in central London? Is that thanks to the great Chancellor Rachel Reeves reducing VAT?
It's actually despite Rachel Reeves, to be honest, and it's also due to the fact that my daughter now has quite a good job, so we could go halves on the bill.
Does she consider you mean?
Does she?
Yeah,
not at
going
all.
halves.
No, because I spent many years subsidising her, and I think she was 27 before she bought me lunch. So I think I'm fairly right in saying that it's now my turn to get some payback from her, and she works in Dubai, so she doesn't even pay any tax. So she should technically have bought the whole dinner.
There's a hint of bitterness there.
There is. Well, because, we see Andy Burnham this morning having given his only interview to Andrew Marr at LBC, saying that, he's looking at the tax regime and maybe there's a room for putting more taxes on us.
What?
That's
More?
what he wants to do, yeah.
I thought it was their manifesto commitment,
yes,
not to raise taxes.
Well, this is it. But he's now saying, as they do, there's some room in that manifesto for wiggling about, not in national insurance, not income tax, but possibly capital gains tax and possibly business rates.
To rinse the economy even more. All the people who actually make the money.
Yeah, they don't seem to understand that, the fewer people there are making money, the less money he has to give away to the ne'er-do-wells of this world.
So if he's going to reinterpret the tax promises, we could say, okay, reinterpret the fact you've got 5 years.
Yeah,
have a general election.
Have a general election. Absolutely right. He absolutely should have one. I think he will have one, actually, because I think he'll fancy it. I know you don't.
I don't reckon that if I was him, I wouldn't do that.
No.
I wouldn't do it because you can be Prime Minister for 3 years, guaranteed, however badly you do.
Yeah.
And you could hope that Reform UK takes a tumble somewhere along the way.
Yeah, you could take that gamble, but you could also say that you think Reform are a bit of a low ebb, and you might think that now's the chance to go for it. But, and you know what they're all like. I mean, you were one of them once.
I was one of them, yes.
I was the future once. Wasn't that David Cameron's thing?
Yeah. It was said, he said it about Blair.
Yes,
you were the future once.
You were the future once,
I prefer the version that you had. I used to be Len
Yes, exactly right. But so you know that politicians have got this weird kind of need for self-aggrandizement and the legacy that they must have. I mean, look at Starmer. He wants to have a legacy. Your legacy is you destroyed the country. Bugger off.
His legacy now is to commit like 30 billion that we haven't got for defence because the Russians are coming.
Yes.
Have you checked under your bed?
Yeah, but except he hasn't committed it. He's committed Andy Burnham to doing
that's the whole thing,
right? Because he's not going to do it, and he's just going to walk away, and it's literally like setting a fire and walking out the building, and Andy Burnham's still in there. That's what he's done.
I think that's the main reason, actually.
Yeah. Because they're horrible people.
Last man out will be David Lammy because he hasn't finished dinner.
Yeah, he'll still be eating. Yeah. No, I'll get you in a minute. Lisa Nandy, she's eaten all the pies and has now decided to leave Twitter as a result.
I know that this is a ridiculous story. I'll probably talk to my guests about this.
Yeah.
Why has Lisa Nandy thought that she's so important? She's going to diss X because she's displeased. Was there a particular phrase or comment that she didn't like, or did she just not like the tone?
She just says it's full of hate, But I mean, the thing is, she's the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport.
Well, she's full of pies,
and
some would say.
But she's now, some would say, she's now left the biggest media platform in the country, in the world, probably. As the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport. Doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, it's
clearly not government policy because Starmer's still there and everybody else is still on it. So,
you always want to know what time of day she made a decision like that. She may have been hangry, of course.
She could have been.
Maybe a very long queue at Greg's that day.
Big queue at Greg's, or they didn't have any steak bakes or something. I know that feeling.
The sausage rolls are great value there.
They are sausage rolls, very good. Yes. I like a Greg's actually.
I love Greg's. Yeah, the London Bridge one always has a queue, but it clears itself very fast.
It's a sort of great British success story as well, isn't it?
Breaking news, guys. On screen there, Lembit, for Mike particularly though.
Oh yeah, 7 tins. Tesco's got loads. Yeah, the brine one's fine, but they don't have the spring water ones. I don't want brine.
That's a deal breaker for Diggy, is it?
Yeah, Diggy's mother won't allow him to have brine. She says it's not good for him. It's too salty.
I'd love the brine ones. I actually prefer that.
No, I mean, I've actually, once you've had the water, you never go back. The spring water ones, you never go back. Olive oil, no.
Olive oil?
Yeah.
No, it's not. That's not good for you, though, either.
Oh, olive oil is good. You're wrong.
No, I'm not, actually.
Have you not seen all the indoctrinating adverts that come up all the time?
Yeah. So you've fallen for those, have you?
Yes,
Yeah.
completely.
And everybody goes,
Sinker.
oh, yeah, because the Italians are all much healthier than we are because of the olive oil.
I think so.
It's not just the olive oil.
Well, what
trust
is it
me.
then?
It's a different lifestyle. They walk more. They actually, enjoy their lives. They don't sit around watching TV and eating fast food all the time.
So maybe Rachel Reeves is actually saving us from ourselves by getting all the pubs to close down.
Actually, could be. But of course, Starmer now has got a new plan. He's opening them all till 5 a.m. Right. That's going to go well, isn't it?
Think how productive Britain's going to be next week.
Can you imagine? I mean, it'll take people till Wednesday to recover from that. Yeah. And also, they'll all be fighting each other.
I wonder how many sickies will be pulled on Monday.
Yeah.
Can you actually book ahead for a sickie these days?
Well, they do now, don't they?
Well, it must be public
for
employers.
most civil servants don't go to work on a Monday anyway, so it won't affect them. So the country will still not be run at all well.
I met a Reform UK leader somewhere in the Norfolk area who discovered that one of the staff was travelling 230 miles, but she wasn't. She was just... You're working for a council somewhere else, working from home.
Well, there's a good number of them working from abroad because they're allowed to. It's insane. Sitting on a beach with a laptop.
With modern technology, you can do a certain amount, but you'd like them to generally at least be in the same country or continent.
I don't think that's asking too much.
Apparently it is.
Lord Petrolhead says that he had 4 tins yesterday.
I didn't. That's mad.
You've got to be lucky.
Yeah.
You've got to be lucky.
So this is just making it worse now.
Yeah.
We're creating a run on sardines. Stay at home, lock your doors.
Yeah.
There could actually be some kind of a sort of a curfew. They'll get the police. They'll get the sardine police.
It is
out.
disturbing. It's disturbing how easily malleable the human race is, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can make them do anything.
Yeah, they'll be trawling the streets.
Very good. See what you did there.
There's so many there.
Yeah.
Your weekend plans?
Well, I've actually got a fancy party to go to on
fantasy party?
Sunday. Yeah, I've been invited by it's a sir and a lady who have invited me to their summer party, which apparently I'm told there might be a few politicians at. So,
what is a fantasy party?
Hey.
Did you say a fantasy?
I didn't say
fancy.
No, I said fancy.
I thought you said fantasy.
I mean, I'm sure you would know what a fantasy party is.
That's Freud. It probably says more about me than
it does.
Than about
I said
Mike,
fancy. Yeah,
A
fancy.
fancy party.
Yeah, as in a big house, a garden,
yeah.
probably some champagne, and it's in the afternoon. It's a Sunday afternoon party.
Well,
so
that's when they have them.
that's quite
basically.
civilised, isn't it?
Are you able to name names?
I'm going to leave it for the moment because I don't know whether they'd want me to advertise it. Okay. But it's a guy that's quite an important guy. He used to be working Downing Street.
I think you're making this up. I think I know where you're really going. You're going to Madison. You're going to Madison Square. You're going to Madison Square for Taylor Swift's wedding.
Yes,
that's what you're really doing.
I could be doing that. I would normally be going to Sussex to see my dog, but I think I'm not going to go because I've got another party. In my square where I live, we have a summer party there, and that's tomorrow. And I've been asked to provide some food, so I've made a big bowl of chilli for that.
You've actually made it yourself?
Yeah.
Mike's a good cook.
Yeah, I'm a very good cook.
Did you use olive oil?
No.
Okay. I just tried to
and one of the reasons,
testing hypocrisy there. There is no hypocrisy.
Lewis will bear me out on this. He and I are both on a journey of different foods that we now eat and other foods that we don't eat. And I really don't. I used to use a lot of olive oil, and I don't use it much anymore. And as a result, among other things, I've lost 20 kilos.
You're a recovering oilaholic.
I am. And so I used to get through a litre of olive oil in about a month, and now it would take me like 6 months to get through it.
But look at the fitness.
That's the thing.
You are proof.
So now, instead of frying the onions first or whatever, you just kind of stew everything.
Is that better?
Well, it's healthier.
So you're telling me expressly that olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, isn't good for you?
Well, it's not. It's quite calorific, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's different, though.
There you go, Mike.
Did you use ghee? No, I
was going to skate over that one.
I bought some ghee, and I'm sorry, I've regretted it ever since.
That is an interesting discovery. I didn't put you down as a cook.
Really? Why not?
Because no
Why
reason
is
to.
See, that's kind of prejudicial, isn't it? What, because I'm a man, or because I'm a unreconstructed man?
Because I've never seen you cooking, but then I wouldn't in the studio, I suppose.
Well, I've never seen you doing a lot of things that I know you've done. And quite frankly, I'm glad I haven't.
That's the TMI both directions there, I think, a little bit, yeah. And
Let Mike go.
we have to let you
yeah,
go now.
and then also I've got a friend visiting from Guernsey who might be taking me out for dinner on Saturday night. So
Poochie won't go. He just won't go.
I'm going.
Sounds like your life is one big party.
It is. That's how I got to look the way I do.
A fantasy life.
A fantasy life. Yeah, it's not bad.
Well, it's a pleasure to see
Lovely
you
to see
today.
you.
And good to see you all week as well.
Yeah, thank you.
That is Mike Graham.
Lock of the week tomorrow night, by the way. He's on it.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, I didn't want to brag. Yes, indeed. And that's a big discovery for me. That maybe olive oil isn't everything it's been cooked up to be. But looking forward to seeing what the royalty is that he's going to meet. Is it possibly Meghan and Harry? No, he's gone now. He's giving nothing away. It must be Meghan and Harry. Or he's going to Madison Square.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Yeah, Meghan and Harry. Is it Meghan and Harry?
No.
No, it's not Meghan and Harry. That's what he says. Yeah, it's got to be. That massive wedding. I think. Yeah, Taylor. We're going to get back now to a man of great substance, and I've already mentioned him a little bit. Lewis Schaefer.
I don't eat olive oil
He doesn't eat olive oil, apparently. No. Why not?
because it's high in calorie. It's a plant, and I don't eat plants as a rule. You just stay away from plants.
You're just like a meat eater.
Yeah,
like
you
a
just
carnivore.
eat meat. Meat, yeah, basically, yeah, I'm 90% meat. I do eat other stuff, which I shouldn't eat, but I feel guilty about it, so that's what helps to keep your weight
Like what?
off.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I dared to ask that question.
Well, I eat plums sometimes.
Plums.
Plums, and if there's a piece of bread in the refrigerator, I'll have a piece of bread. But it's not good for you, and I regret. I'm going to comb my hair on the air.
Now, just wondering what you would. I thought you would withdraw some food or something from there.
Wasn't really quite prepared for this, Mike.
So you're
Mike was
actually
here.
using, ladies and gentlemen, he's
Yeah.
actually using the camera and the
Yeah.
screen as a kind of mirror.
I mean, so what, really? So
Yeah.
what?
Is that is there for you now? You
Is
can
it better?
just
Do I look better? Your hair is all done. Why can't my hair be done?
I've had the same hairstyle for 46 years.
Yeah, maybe
I just do
time
this.
for a change. You have hair. You're lucky to have hair. Let it grow.
Well, so have you.
Yeah.
So have you. You
I mean,
can't-
my hair is not as good as it used to be, but it is still amazing.
I think you look fantastic.
Thank you. I'm really honored to be here, Lemby.
It's great. You're from the United States. Which part?
I'm from New York City. Not New York City. Originally, I'm from a suburb of New York called Great Neck, New York. But I lived in Manhattan for many years, and I lived in Brooklyn for many years. So
I couldn't
yeah.
do it. I just couldn't do it. New York. I'm tired of the intensity of London.
Yeah.
I like going to New York for a few days.
there is no intensity in London except the destruction that's happening all around us.
That is true. New York.
And that's the thing. When you come to this country, you think, oh, this is just going to be like New York. It's not like New York. It's not like New York.
It's
It's filled
grubby.
with horrible people, this city.
Yeah.
And this country is horrible, and you're letting in more horrible people. It's like, that's why they're letting in horrible people, because they think the people they're letting in aren't going to be as horrible as the people living here, but they're equally horrible. Why is that funny? It's a nightmare. This country is being destroyed. It's destroyed already. You don't even know. It's people like you.
Me?
Lembe. Yes, you.
It's my fault.
Yes, you.
Just because I'm foreign.
Yes. No. That's actually a good
Make up
thing.
your mind.
It's actually a good thing. But the people like you and your foreign, I read a little bit about you because I'm not interested in you as a person. So I had to Google the thing. Is it people like you because you buy into the we're British. You are so British. You are so
Lemberdopic
British.
isn't that common a name.
No,
in
it
the
isn't.
UK.
Not as a name, but inside you can feel it.
My parents told me to embrace the culture that embraced us.
Yes.
Surely that actually does the opposite of what you're saying. That makes us
Yeah.
British.
But the
and you're
culture-
saying the people come here with their culture and they don't integrate.
No, but the culture you're embracing is half of the problem with Britain is half of the culture is horrible.
But hang on a sec. You, not you personally,
Yeah,
of course.
me personally.
Well, yeah, you personally
Yeah.
are celebrating tomorrow
Yes.
250 years
Yeah.
of independence from this culture. But
Yes.
you embrace this culture.
I
You
don't
love the
embrace
Queen.
this culture. We
Okay,
don't
now.
love the Queen. Americans do not love the royal family. We like watching them in the same way Americans will go to see the pyramids in Egypt. That doesn't mean we want a pyramid in New York. We don't want it. We don't want it. And when are you people, I'm like so furious about this, when are you people going to say, oh, you're a new country, you're a new country. 250 years old of just being a country, but we were people before it. Go on.
But you're desperate for heritage. You got that Cleopatra Needle thing in DC. You know,
Desperate for it. It's a little
whatever that
monument. You
thing
bring
is.
something, it's a tchotchke you bring home, but they brought it over, the Cleopatra's Needle.
You've got the Statue of Liberty. That comes from France. You've just been importing other people's cultures.
No.
Now you're criticising Britain for importing culture. The first thing you see...
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Go
That's not
on.
what I'm saying at all. I'm saying there's an undercurrent that I'm just figuring out about this country. This is a horrible way to start a relationship.
but you started it.
I know, because
Can we go to an ad break? No, we can't.
I don't understand how rotten this place is.
But you
I've
said...
been here 26 years, and I'm just realizing it's rotten. The Queen and the King are the epitome of the rottenness. And rotten.
I went through Nunhead the other day.
Oh, you did? That's where I live.
And I understand why you're so angry.
I'm a bit angry.
I feel your pain. I was there, it seemed like an hour, but the train only stopped for 2 minutes there.
Yeah,
Going
no,
to Shortlands. That was nicer.
Right? Yeah, Shortlands. It's further outside of London you get is I think Shortlands might be nicer. Nunhead. I live in Nunhead. You don't badmouth Nunhead.
It's every train was late. Every train was late when I went there. One of them was cancelled.
Did you have to stop at Nunhead? Were you waiting at the Nunhead station?
I was just passing through.
Oh, passing through.
Yeah.
I don't think that counts.
Well, I was going to get off, but I looked at it and I said,
Nunhead's got, the amazing thing about Nunhead, it's got 3 cemeteries. In Nunhead, it has 3 cemeteries. It has a fish market, which is famous, and it has a pub. It has a few pubs, but 2 of the pubs are famous. That's what Nunhead. And Louis Schaefer lives there.
What is it about? That's a plus. That's a plus. What is it about fish that everyone's talking about fish today?
I don't understand.
What about it. Mike was talking about it.
Is it anchovy a sardine?
It's not. It's a tiny little super salty thing that you get on pizzas.
Yes.
And things like that. I love them. Absolutely love them.
But you can't eat a lot of it because it's super salt. It's a flavor.
It just makes you thirsty.
It's like capers or something.
Yeah, it's like capers and anchovies.
Yeah.
I think they put them on so that you buy more wine.
I don't like them. But I do,
Have you had breakfast today?
I haven't. This is too early in the morning for me.
This is
10:30 in the
hangry.
morning.
Again, hangry.
I'm not hungry. No, I'm not hungry anymore because I'm on a meat-based diet, so I'm not hungry.
I see that's really working for you.
It is working. Look at how great I look. I'm 70 years old.
No, you're not. Okay,
yes.
that is working.
Well, I'm 69, but close enough. I'm 69. You look pretty good for
whatever age I am.
If you let your hair grow, I think you'd look
really?
You'd look different, really.
Well, I would look different. Technically, that is tautologically correct. Yeah.
Yes, you look different. Yes.
So, if I look different, I would look different.
You would do different, but you might be different better. I don't even know. I'm like this hairstyle is kind of new. It's kind of new.
I like it.
Do you like it?
Yeah,
It's just calming you down. That's all it is.
No, it didn't. I started off on a really bad thing, and I blame you. I don't know what. So, what is it?
What are we doing here?
I don't even know why I don't like you. But I don't. I was thinking, I've never met a Lib Dem in my life. I have met a couple. But it's like, what was the point of that whole thing? And now you're tarnished with it forever.
Yeah, well, okay. You're kind of tarnished with Nam, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, you have to carry these things, you know? This is escalating very dangerously
With Nam,
now.
as in Vietnam? Or,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're going to tell me you weren't there, man.
I wasn't there. I actually was in the last, where they pulled out the numbers to decide whether I was going to be drafted.
Really?
I was in the last drafting thing in 1975. That's how old I am. So it was on my mind, basically.
That's got really awkward now.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, the people don't even know what Vietnam is.
Oh, they do. Everybody knows.
They should know. They should know that America lost in Vietnam at the time, but they won big for the next 30, 40 years. They've been the richest country in the world.
Nothing went wrong in Afghanistan or...
No, those
Iraq.
were minor things. Those are just training exercises for American troops. That's what Iran is. It's keep the boys busy.
It's almost like having the American president right here with us now.
I would, you know what? The greatest American president ever. Maybe George
Donald
Bush.
Trump.
Donald Trump, yeah. I'll make a case for it.
Somebody said to me, an American said to me, you know this reflecting pool? What's the reflecting pool anyway?
It's when they made a park through the middle of, in the middle of Washington, and they've got
next to the Cleopatra Needle pyramid
not the
thing.
Cleopatra Needle, the Washington Monument,
Whatever.
the monument was. It Lincoln?
Oh, you should know. I don't know.
I should know. I don't know.
The
But whatever,
thing.
and
The
then it
thing.
reflects onto that. In theory, it's just a little bit of water.
It's full of algae now. He was meant to drain the swamp, not create one.
Do you know what? That's a minor thing, and they're actually pouring algae in it just to mess him up because he represents a future for America, which is different than the future that the past. Whatever, and that's the essence, and that's what I have to tell people. It's not like, oh, we don't like Donald Trump or we don't like Keir Starmer. If Keir Starmer wore a different tie or a different thing, it would be better. It's not. He represents evil.
Which one? Starmer?
Starmer does.
Okay, we finally found something we agree on.
And because he's a communist. And
Yeah.
Donald Trump is
Yeah.
not a communist.
I agree with both of those things.
And I am an anti-communist.
And to quote Donald Trump,
Yeah.
this is again technically correct. We're not dealing with Winston Churchill here.
It doesn't matter. You can't have Winston Churchill if he has a communist ideology.
No, I agree. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's-
So you're not going to miss him too much. Do you
What's
think?
Starmer?
Yeah.
I think I will because I'm an inherent conservative. Because it takes a while before you learn to hate
Oh, I
somebody.
see. So, but
Yeah.
what do you make of Burnham? Do you think he's going to get on with Make a Great
No,
Again?
with Trump?
Yeah.
Or with America?
Yeah,
No,
well,
because he's even
with Trump,
more.
then.
He seems like he's like a better communist. But it's like one communist after another. It's people. Communism doesn't work.
Why don't you do the honourable thing then? Do what you always do in this situation
That's
as
right.
a country: invade and conquer Britain.
Well,
Fix
I think
it.
you know what that is actually. I'm afraid to say because who knows what could happen in this police state that's going on right now.
It would be good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would welcome you. On the Normandy landings, that sort of thing.
As you know,
I mean, we've got
probably
enough
you know-
people coming over already, as you said before.
Yeah.
More horrible people, as you
Yeah.
said.
Well, American people, we tried invading at one time. I think in Black, what was the name of the place?
And it's Whitehaven or something.
Whitehaven.
Whitehaven, yeah.
Yes. Up in
People,
up in the
people don't
north.
know this. You
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
our viewers.
Yeah.
Little history lesson. Go on.
Well, what's his name? Some English guy decided to get back in England, and he was in America, and he led some ships
Yeah.
to invade. I don't think it
But they got on so well, they didn't have a fight in the end. They sort of went, okay, well, don't do it again.
I don't know. I think it was a long way to go, and not much happened. I think they realized they couldn't do anything. The Americans.
But they thought about it. Imagine Whitehaven.
Well, it was the first step of like, why not go over there and see what we can do? We were in the midst of a war with you guys. The best thing that happened to Britain was the American independence.
Why?
Because this country would not be Britain.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Britain. If you got 360 million or 50 million people living in America, and they would demand representation in Parliament, and there'd be 60 or 80 million Britons, and this country would basically be they would have to move the capital to Washington because more of. So that's why you English people,
Me English. Wrong on two counts, but carry on.
Okay.
You're the guest.
You had to let them go. You had to let America go. It was the smartest move. Am I right? Do you think this is true?
It's up to a point. You
Up to
are
a
right.
point.
Of course, Ireland, every American president, including Obama, has Irish roots.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because I was actually born in the north of Ireland.
Yes.
In Bangor, actually.
I hardly knew her. Sorry. Is that wrong for 10 o'clock in the morning?
I set them up, you knock them down. We're meant to look at the papers.
Yeah.
Let's try and do
no,
that.
No, finish your point.
Well, I was
Don't
going
let
to
me
say,
interrupt
right,
you.
Ireland.
I saw you with Andrew Eborn.
Oh, he's
And
great.
He's great, but you kept on talking. You should have told him to just shut up.
That's a bit ironic.
Yeah. No,
I'm just not a very strong person, you know.
you're not. No, but
If you say so.
Am I talking over you? Do you think?
It's kind of. A little bit, yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm sorry to the
No,
people
it's
out
okay.
there,
We can just
sorry.
have a quiet.
But if I do,
you don't even mean that.
I'm sitting. I'm not out and about. I'm not no Mike Graham being invited to parties anymore.
I know that's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's Nunhead for you.
Yeah. Well, they think
After
you're
dark,
dead.
you know.
They think you're dead.
Escape from New York kind of
It's
situation.
actually Nunhead where I live. I live in the nice bit of Peckham, which is what Nunhead.
Peckham. That's an oxymoron.
Yeah, but no, it's like we're SE15.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it is It is in theory Peckham. Our main city is Peckham. Peckham used to be, I think, the second or third largest shopping district.
You're
Can we just quickly play a gag from yesterday? You're talking jokes. Kelvin made a gag yesterday.
Oh, don't ask me to make a joke.
Get your headphones on, Lewis.
yeah. Go on.
Where's the plug?
Well, they're not even plugged in. You're watching me, Lambert Opic, here with Lewis Schaefer from Nunhead, previously, or nay, as they say, New York State,
Yes.
at least.
No, I was born in Brooklyn. I was born in
New York City.
Brooklyn. My father worked in New York. It was just it was sort of like living in Chingfield or something. Like right outside.
Do you mean Chingford?
Chingford. Sorry.
It doesn't really exist.
Right,
But you're doing well. All right, here is something from yesterday. Don't know what's coming up now. Kelvin MacKenzie, do your worst.
I don't know whether I can tell this joke. Kay Burley told me this joke, right? He said, what? And by the way, this is likely to clear. If we had a license, this will be the end of this. The end of this station. So what's the similarity between lobster thermidor and a blowjob? And the answer is you don't get either of them at home. Okay, so
Who told you that?
I'm not going around to Kay Burley's house again then.
So yeah, you won't be getting lobster thermidor around there, that's for sure. And anyway, I can remember that joke from bloody that joke must be 35 years ago. Right?
Yeah.
I think if you get told a great gag, it is something that lives with you forever.
I'm really sorry. I'm sorry.
What
you
am I
expected
supposed to-
a higher standard than that.
Do you
How
want me
could
to
this be
tell?
allowed?
Because it's a good joke. I mean, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Is it 10 o'clock in the morning? Are we being?
Yeah. Not everywhere, but in Britain it is, yeah.
Is this going to be broadcast live?
Yes,
It
you're
is.
live.
It's live. Oh, shit.
So this isn't a rehearsal, pal.
Oh, okay, good. I actually like.
Oh dear.
You kind of... I had a Kay Burley last night.
Lobster thermidor.
Yes. Back to the fish motif.
Yeah.
You know, it's just on and on and on and on, you know.
What did you want me to do? You want me to tell a joke?
Yeah, go on.
He says yes, but...
Two Jews walked into a
oh,
bar.
no, this is awful stuff. Oh, no.
Go on.
Two Jews walked into a bar. I used to own this. I don't know. I made that up myself, Pooch.
Yeah, I can tell that. I can tell that. You know the people in... You know the Flintstones cartoon?
Yes.
The people in Dubai don't like the Flintstones?
Why not?
I know, but the people in Abu Dhabi do. Now that's the kind of humour we should be having here.
Okay.
It's good, clean fun. He's
That's
thrown away.
Stephen Allen Green too. That's a friend of mine. These are people that I know.
You just a big name dropper, actually. Do you know the current? We got to the papers in a second. But
Okay, yeah.
do you know the current mayor of New York? He seems to be.
He's a communist.
Yeah,
he's
I
a
was gonna
communist
say
and
that.
an Islamist.
As well.
Yeah, he's a Muslim. He's a Muslim.
Is he a
and
Muslim or is he an
he's not
Islamist?
even born in America. It's like, what kind of crazy place has somebody who was raised in another country to be their prime minister?
Yeah, but
Oh wait, that's Britain too.
That's Britain.
That's
yeah,
Britain
kind of
too.
mixing it
I mean,
up.
is that ironic that happens? That the biggest issue of this time right now, the biggest issue is mass immigration of people who hate people living in this country. But people are not sensitive. They're sensitive to it, and then they put what's her name is Kemi, who seems lovely.
Kemi Badenoch is nice. Yeah.
She's lovely.
She was born here.
She was born here, but she was raised over there by people who weren't even English.
Some would notice, I
Yeah.
don't know how to put this diplomatically,
Yeah.
that you don't have an English accent.
Why should I have an English accent?
That's not that, but you're complaining about foreigners coming to this country.
Yes, I wouldn't
Not
put
to put
me,
too fine a
I
point
wouldn't
on it.
put me as prime minister, especially in times of war, which we are in right now. I know everybody's pretending everything's nice and they'll always be in England. That's what English people believe. There won't always be in England. There won't.
What is the war?
The war is between mass immigration of Muslims into this country, or any kind of people from another country. That's one war, and between communists and people who want to preserve the country as it should be.
What should happen? How do you fix it?
You fix it through war and killing people.
So we should
I can't believe I said that.
actually have We should actually declare war on someone.
I need a minder right here to say, no, Lewis, you're kidding. Just tell people you're kidding. I'm not kidding. No,
I know you're not kidding.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And people go, don't worry about it.
It's like having two guests wrapped up in one body.
Yes, because I know I shouldn't be saying this. It's none of my business.
It's a free speech station.
No, it is.
Yes, it is.
The country is not free speech.
Maybe not.
Number one, and in a time of war, we have to be very, very careful with what we say.
In which case, let's have a look at this then. Tequila Sunrise.
We need the news then.
All right.
Why are we quoting the newspapers?
What?
The newspapers are the vehicle, the propaganda element of our enemy.
Okay, let's get some real news then.
Okay.
As Lewis comes down. Here's some real news. Back after this.
Good morning, I'm Fiona MacLeod. Sorry about that. What do you think about my Ed Hughes impression? Oh, what a day in Blighty. Keir McNobber has finally apologised for the state's historic forced adoption scandal. A stain on our history, he declared. Cheers, mate. Meanwhile, the knob of the North is promising radical devolution and good growth, because handing more power to the regions has never gone wrong before. Fiscal discipline, too. I know Nobbs, and he's a right one. In actual progress, they've scrapped the ancient Vagrancy Act, so rough sleeping is no longer a crime. Brilliant. Problem solve. Just let illegal migrants take up residence wherever they like, and Gary Glitter's been hit with fresh historical sex charges. Who wants to be in my gang? Truly Britain at its finest. Pass the booze.
Yeah, I've just got a message from Lisa Nandy here saying that she's going to cut off all contacts with us as well. She doesn't like the output. It seems to me that you've actually trained our newsreader, Lewis.
Is that AI? How is that done? Is that?
I'm not at liberty to comment.
Okay.
It's the nearest I've got to a real friend. Let's put it that way.
She's quite pretty.
Well,
am I allowed to say that?
Well, if she's AI, you can say that. Yes.
Is she AI?
They're beautiful. She's got beautiful pixels.
Yes. Well, they're too large to be a pixel. Is that wrong? Is that wrong?
No, it's not. What's wrong? You cannot give offence. You can only take offence.
Since they fired me from GB News.
Oh,
yes,
I see. That's where the bitterness comes.
No, it's not from that. It's just. I mean, they were allowed to fire me. Everyone gets fired. Mike, that's what Mike Graham told me. Everyone gets fired. You get fired. That's not what the bitterness. The bitterness is I haven't been around people enough. I need to.
You sit on your own in Nunhead watching people walking past, saying,
I'm like doing what you're doing here. You talk to people on a screen, but nobody's there to say, that's inappropriate, Lewis.
You've got a great name for is it podcast, or am I offending
It's called
you?
Lewis Schaefer Uncooked. That's what it's called.
It's not bad then. Yeah.
Why is that not bad? It's
all right, it's good then. Was that not complimentary enough? It's brilliant.
No, it
what
is. I don't see why it's that good, Uncooked.
It is good.
You're the first person to say that. I'm
being polite. I don't really mean it. Actually, I don't think it is.
I think you mean it. I think you seem like a better guy than I thought you would be.
Yeah. Okay. That sort of phrase. Considering
much
when we
better.
started.
No, I would say.
But from -10 to -7 now.
Yeah. Well, Mike also if Mike likes you, and he's.
Mike's uncommitted.
I don't think he's uncommitted.
He's more concerned about the sardines than he is about me.
Is anchovies a sardine? Is it just a sardine?
No, sardines and anchovies are two different things.
So why are you mentioning? Are you making a joke?
That size.
Is that it? Yeah, I know that.
Obviously, I wasn't making a joke. That's your department.
Yeah.
You're
so
professional
anchovies
comedian.
are small little baby fish. Are they baby fish?
Baby fish, yeah. But I mean, when they're grown up, they're still small.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, they grow up to be baby fish.
Can you eat an anchovy that has not been put in salt and whatever?
It's not put in salt. It just is salt. That's what it is. It swims around in salt water.
I know, but so do other fish that don't taste of salt. Anchovies are salty.
Look, I didn't invent the oceans. I can't tell you exactly why an anchovy tastes of salt and something else doesn't.
Well,
but
why
I
don't
happen
you
to
ask
like
the people
them.
out there?
Capers. Capers come from the same planet as apples.
Yeah.
Capers are salty and apples are not.
I think they're cooked. I think a caper is put in salt. I would guess that.
Possibly.
Can I look on my phone?
You can have a look on your phone. That gives me an excuse to speak to somebody else. while we have a little chat. And there's somebody who may also provoke you. I don't know where you stand on the environment. I don't think that there's a climate emergency. I think that's all
not
made
the
up.
environment. That's lies.
Well, in
The
that
environment
case,
is cutting down
you
trees.
will have common cause with our next guest, Paul Burgess.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Paul. How have you been?
Hi. Yeah, fine. I've been churning out the videos on the papers as fast as I can in this mad, mad world. You know, listening to all the records be broken around me. You know,
Well, that was
without
obviously.
any historic context.
Well, what do you mean? I mean, it's 40 Celsius. We live in an era of global boiling, according to the United Nations chief clown, or whatever he's called, the Antonio Gutierrez.
It's
How do
just
you
been
justify? How do you
declared the
explain all
hottest
this?
June. Well, first of all, you explain it by the hype, right? So let's look at the hype. Now, it's the hottest June in England, they said. Yes?
Yes, they
Notice
said that.
But it's
in,
not the
in,
hottest
in
June.
history, in recorded history.
Yeah. Yeah, that's ridiculous. But it's the hottest June not in Scotland. And it's hottest June not in Wales. It's only in England it's the hottest June. And what they do to get the average temperature, to see what the average temperature is each day, is they take the maximum and the minimum and they half it. Basically, that's it. That's they add them together and half it. So a high minimum temperature raises the average a lot. And we did have a record minimum temperature in the middle of Cardiff. Yes, we had a record June minimum temperature. But that's the urban heat island effect. When you're measuring things at airports like they do, and don't forget, these records have been broken. Maximum records mean nothing in terms of a heat wave, by the way. If you compare, well, let's stick with the subject. So maximum records are meaningless. They're all at helipads or airports, yeah? And you can have a nice hot day on the tarmac. You can have heat like spirals, like little mini tornadoes coming off. And the pilots know all about them. Now, the met stations at airports are fitted for the pilots so they can understand the air density as they're landing or taking off. It changes the amount of runway you need. And so that's what it's there for. It's not there as a met station for the general climate, as it were. So that's the first point. But the USA didn't have the warmest record, not just in June. Russia didn't have it. Wales didn't have it. Scotland didn't have it. And these are raw temperatures. They haven't even validated them. And the record, one of all, was taken at a place where it's known to have extreme lows and extreme highs. Yeah, that's the Littlewood one. So it's meaningless. I mean, it's like saying, oh, well, Colchester had a lower temperature as such and such at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's meaningless. It's not climate, it's weather. And that is what they're doing. They're just scaring you.
Paul, why is it? Paul, why is it that when it's hot, the BBC and the mainstream and all these politicians say, "Oh, this is a climate emergency. Look at the weather temperature." They ignore the fact that some of the 40 Celsius, as you're talking about, were measured just after military jet planes took off and their jet blast drifted across the thermometers. But that's another story. But when it's cold, we don't hear about it. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but last weekend they had a winter storm in Wyoming and in Montana and Idaho. Yeah. That's not really been mentioned. You have to find it on about page 4 in the internet. Why is that only weather not worth reporting, but the heat is an evidence of the end of the world as we know it?
Because that's what it seems to be. The mainstream media bought in to this climate emergency. Total nonsense, right? I mean, currently, if I took an electric fire or a lot of electric fires and tried to heat up the whole of the Atlantic from the equator up to Greenland, that would take a lot of heat, wouldn't it? But actually, the temperature of the Atlantic, with the Atlantic multidecadal oscillation, varies by about half a degree. Now, to heat up a whole ocean by half a degree is an enormous amount of heat, but that's on a cycle. On my own work, I've done the oceanic index with a bit of CO2 in it and that, and I've been able to establish the reasons for every single year's temperature since satellite records began. So I can match, without changing my formula or anything, I've matched every single year of the temperature records. And yes, we have warmed. There's no doubt about that, and I'm grateful for that, because 150 years before the Little Ice Age, we started warming. The depth of the Little Ice Age was in the 1690s, and that's when we started to come out of it. And we'd added about 0.4 of a degree before we got to 1850, And the CO2 didn't really count in quantity until you got to the 1960s and into the 70s. So all of those fluctuations were natural. And so we're in. I've got some bad news for everyone. We're in a gap we're in an ice age at the moment, because an ice age is defined as having a glacier, say, ice at the poles. Right, ice at the poles defines an ice age, so we're in one. But there are gaps in these ice ages, and gaps in the glaciation, and that's where you get half a mile of ice over Birmingham. And these are about 10 or 11,000 years apart. We have 10 or 11,000 years gap from the glaciation and then back into one, right? And we've been gradually declining as an Earth with these things, and we're now in the 11,000th year of the current interglaciation. So we know long term we're heading into another glaciation. Long term, we don't know when that'll come, by the way. No one understands when that'll come. And so we're enjoying now a relatively cool period to the past. I mean, only 8,000 years ago, it was about 7 degrees warmer in the Holocene. But you'll get a whole pile of people doing lots of stuff, telling you rubbish, because now we've got a self-perpetuating industry. And unless it keeps going with this hype all the time, it doesn't get paid.
Sanyu Known says net zero is a scam, and it's going to ruin us, going to destroy our economy. I happen to agree. I think that it is a scam, and I want to ask you. In fact, it's Sweet Freedom 999 says, please ask Paul, does he think the weather is being engineered?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I've done a whole video and paper on that. No, I don't. I don't think it's being engineered. You couldn't engineer it. The amount of planes you'd need and the amount of material you'd need to affect the weather. I don't go in for the chemtrails. I know that upsets people. I do know there's cloud seeding gone on, and I do know attempts have been made to seed. I mean, all that Britain's ever put into the atmosphere for this geoengineering was 400 grams when they tested from a balloon the equipment to release it. They put £10 million into it, but not all of that's gone onto this part. So there are silly ideas like this, but that's not going on.
One of the silly ideas is, on the one hand, to say we all need to have solar panels. On the other hand, we need to dim the sun. It's not just me that's noticed this ridiculous contradiction.
I mean, when you see their contrails and what it is, and people have said to me, I actually was challenged to go live on a show against the world experts on chemtrails. Like, yeah, I'll do that. But they wouldn't appear. They spent 2 months trying to get anyone to appear from anywhere in the world. And the big sites in America, they wouldn't appear. And they were going on like things like, look, how do you get the grids in the air? These grids. Well, when a plane goes and leaves a contrail, right, the airspeed up there is up to 200 miles an hour where they are, and in the jet stream, and that means you'll be actually spraying eastern Russia, the western part of Russia. That's what you'd be spraying. You wouldn't be spraying here at that height. And as each one goes, it makes a trail, and the air moves that trail. The next one in the same place would give a different trail. So you get the grid very easily. And I've done a whole video on this. And my conclusion, which will please those people, is we shouldn't be spraying anything into the air, including cloud seeding. I'm against it totally. So that's my conclusion. And I actually forecast something on this. I said, when they started to ban it in America, and that in America, some of the states have managed to, when they were banning bird shooting over out of season, they banned clay pigeons by mistake as well, one state. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how bad people can ban things that don't exist. So my prediction was, my prediction was that if these people get their way and get the ban, the contrails are still going to be there. And now they're arguing, look, they haven't obeyed the law. I mean, it's as meaningless as that.
No.
Pardon?
No. The contrails is an interesting point. And once again, I, as a pilot, I just know you'd be spending, even if you used every aeroplane in the whole world to do it, you wouldn't be able to do it because it's just
I've
too
done a
much
calculation.
sky.
You'd need 3,000 jumbos flying 24 hours a day. Now, we haven't got 3,000 jumbos. And if you did that, and it would cost £7 trillion a year to do this, you'd have to build a lot of new airports, by the way, for all this. I then, because I worked out 50 tons per jumbo, yeah? And you'd have to have it fitted out properly, because in an aeroplane, you can't have the tank at the back empty and you're going to go out to trim. I think any pilot would know that. So you have to have a proper vehicle with lots of tanks in and displace them evenly and so on. So I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous. So the answer to that one is no. Right.
Okay.
So when they say just
Smith Tarpon says cloud seeding and solar radiation management are real. Okay, it just disagrees with you, but you got one more sentence on it, because we're not going to do the "oh yes it is," "oh no it isn't." This is pantomime. Right. One more word on this. I know this is provoking you. I can see it in your eyes, Paul.
Well, solar radiation is controlled by the sun and the clouds. Right? It's as simple as that.
Okay,
and clouds.
I'm talking over you only because I just want to ask you two other quick ones. One is, if net zero, if carbon dioxide isn't driving the climate, if it's an effect rather than a cause, why do so many politicians get away with talking this complete gobbledygook all over the world?
But politicians are nobodies. We have idiots in Parliament. I mean, they're sheep. If you look, all right, then
I used to be one, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Lewis like that.
Well,
that hurts me.
But they are. They're sheep. And look, they've had to go outside the 400 Labour politicians to even find what they think will be a leader who won't be. But no.
Good point.
I mean, they're doing it because they even when you present them with the facts, if you present someone with the facts who's got an ideology, it doesn't change their ideology, that you're insulting them. Normally what happens with me when I do that is they come back with personal attacks. That's what normally happens. And all I do is evidence. That's all I do. I mean, the 1911 heat wave, well, that was a heat wave. That was 2.5 months of really hot weather, 40,000 dead in France. You know, I mean, and in America and in Russia and in New Zealand and Australia, everywhere in the world, basically, had a heat wave. And they had it for 2.5 months. And it killed people in their droves, mainly babies, because it contaminated the milk. They didn't have fridges and things, and so on. Obviously, the death toll wouldn't be as high as that today. But if you compare a few days we've had, and that's what we've had, 3 days of hot weather, if you like, and you compare that to what they had in 1976, for example, was much worse. And so was 2011 was much worse than 1976. And here's a truth they don't like. Weather has become less extreme in terms of floods and droughts and storms and so on. Less extreme than the past. Right? But they don't like that.
But they're saying the opposite. We keep hearing again and again and again. I have to admit, I scream at the screen when it happens. So, we've got more flooding now. And we've got more droughts. We've got more heat. Yeah. And sometimes they say record blizzards. In other words, 4 opposite effects, all blamed on the same cause. Now, my father's a nuclear physicist, and he would suggest perhaps if you blame opposite effects on the same cause, you're not getting it right.
Correct. Well, obviously that's my background. I was in water resource planning for the whole of Wales. That was my job, and I wrote hydroclimatology papers at the time, because my job was to say, how frequent are the floods? How big are they? How big are the droughts? In fact, the worst drought in our history that we know of, it was 1776. And that was 18 months. And that caused huge problems in Ireland and the UK. That was our worst drought.
I blame the Americans for that.
Pardon?
I blame the Americans for that. Can't be a coincidence. 1776.
I know. Well, that happened in America. They got it as well. But
Lewis is loving it. Go on.
1776 was our worst drought. 18 months. It's known as the Great Forgotten Drought. And I've ranked, in my work, the worst droughts. And all the worst droughts were 1700, 1800, early 1900s, and so on. I mean, the 76 drought, I think, is about the 7th in the ranking. Yeah? And so on. So it isn't like what people say. And the funny part is, when I checked the Environment Agency in the UK, when I was doing that work and listed all the things, they agreed with me. Their papers, which no one reads, agreed with that, of course. They know that. And so floods, by the way, are hugely affected by the urbanisation effect, because floods are all about, not the average flow, they're all about a flow in a very short time. And as you urbanise, you're going to get more, so you've got to allow for that. So I do counter papers, but I go into the history, I go into the science, and it's not true. And it's anything. It doesn't matter what it is, floods or droughts. They'll blame everything on this because there's an agenda out there. And it's a terrible agenda. No one should listen to. And you can't. When I confront politicians with things, they actually run away. They don't ever answer you. Bit like Prime Minister's question time. The guarantee is he's not going to answer anything.
I did used to be an MP, but I'm better now. But if
I know,
I know you know, and I'll come to Lewis in a moment about it. I suspect he might not be a climate fanatic. But if you did have a climate fanatic, what would be the one question you would ask somebody who insists that there's a climate emergency? What would be the one question you would challenge them on?
well, I'd say, where's the evidence? Even the IPCC.
The consensus: 99.9% of all scientists say that there's a climate emergency.
No. You know, and I know that was actually 0.3%, right?
Yeah.
Look, science.
We should all be fired, by the way, because if they think there is a climate emergency, they're obviously not paying attention to the data.
Well, if there's a climate emergency, we're not doing anything about it. If it's a climate emergency caused by CO2, we haven't made all the conferences, all the meetings, worldwide meetings, all the COP meetings have made no difference whatsoever to the rise of CO2.
Simple reason for that, because they're all flying there, producing the CO2 for the emergency, then cutting down the Amazon.
Cutting down the forest to get to do luxury hotel in the middle of nowhere and so on. It's so bad. It's so bad now that I mean, I've got 10 grandkids. I'm 81 now, and I've got 10 grandkids that I fear for their future in this world. And it's a world. Look, the AMO, which is Atlantic Multidecadal Oscillation, that warms up and cools. The whole Atlantic from the equator warms up and cools. That's a huge effect. I did my work, which was I combined CO2 with all the oceanic cycles and the sun. And you look up how much of those each year, you put it through a fixed formula, and you get the exact temperature. And for the last 42 years, my work, without change, without altering the formula, has precisely predicted the exact temperatures. And a lot of background work's been done, looking at volcanoes was my work. My work represented the volcanoes, which you didn't know about because you can't forecast a volcano, but my work showed the deviation from it perfectly for Pinatubo, which was 1998, I think. And so I've already done this work, and CO2 has an effect, but it's a small and diminishing effect. Now, it did have an effect further back because, as you know, it's a log scale and so on. So even that's incorporated into my work. It's called the oceanic, and it combines the Indian Ocean, the Pacific Oceans, the ENSO and everything, and the big one, which is the Atlantic one, all together. And it monitors those each year, feeds that into a fixed formula, and you get the exact temperature of the world.
Next time I want to challenge you on an obvious thing. Why do you think that we can't turn the sun up and down? Because that's ridiculous. We can obviously control the sun. It's obvious. But don't even try to answer that. You know what? I'll say this is very technical. Everybody who's watching, you need to go to your internet. Svante Arrhenius has a lot to answer for. Paul knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. Lot to answer.
Yeah, and he was Greta was a descendant, wasn't she?
Probably. That would explain a lot. Yeah.
And actually, she was.
I didn't know that, but it literally does explain a lot. Paul, got to let you go. I will definitely buy you dinner. Sardines probably not on the menu because there's a shortage. Thank you so much. That is Paul Burgess. It's always a great thing to speak with him. But Lewis, it's all your fault. 1776, the Great Drought. Is that how you brought Britain to its knees?
Actually, Britain was it wasn't brought to its knees. It should have been brought to its knees because the French had bad harvests. I think Paul might know this. They had bad harvests from that point onward, which is why they had the French Revolution. But Britain didn't have bad harvests. Things got better, so there was no revolution. He's totally right. This dude is 100% right.
So you don't buy the climate emergency?
I don't buy it at all. It's all one issue, which is they want death to us. Those people, they're what do they call them? Suicidal empathetics. They just want us to die, and this is one way to kill us. You have to. What do they want to accomplish? They want to accomplish us being dead.
Well, yes, because we are a plague.
Yeah. Why is that funny?
You've caused panic in the gallery.
Why is it funny? They want us dead. Communists want us dead. If you say I'm a socialist, you're just a communist who hasn't killed enough people yet.
I think they're laughing because it's a certain refreshing release.
Well, but you saying there is no climate emergency is refreshing. Take it one step further. They want us dead. If you meet somebody who says, I care about the environment and it's all about CO2, that's not about the environment. That's about you killing people and us being uncomfortable.
On this trajectory, from where we started to where we end, maybe in 2 or 3 years, we can be friends. But I'm not coming to Nunhead.
You're not coming?
No.
Well, you're all invited there. Give me a call. 0788. Oh, no. I'm not gonna give up.
Norwood Junction. That's as far as I'm going. Norwood Junction.
Yeah, the Norwood Builder. That was a Sherlock Holmes book. Wasn't that a Sherlock Holmes book? Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know why I mentioned that. The point is,
just trying to be English.
Let me just tell the people out there, you are much nicer than I thought you were going to be. I think you're too nice to people. You let them go on and on and on. You let me go on and on. You got to say, shut up, Lewis. Next point.
Well, if you say so.
Yes, you do. That's the key to being whatever.
A liberal Democrat.
I don't know. No, liberal Democrats. They're creating liberal Democrats every single day. The Labour Party will be like the liberal Democrats. They'll be irrelevant.
That is not good news for anybody.
It will be good news. The Labour Party has no place in Britain. Nobody wants to be Labour. It's something you want to work your way out of. So why would you keep this forever? And that's one of the problems of Britain. You built all this council housing, but people
they haven't though. They haven't even done that.
No, they did.
Originally,
they did. So you had all these buildings, and then the people who were given the buildings were happy at first, and then they said, "Let's move and get our own place," which is what you should want. And so we have empty buildings. So who's going to live in these buildings? We got to import people from other continents to live in them.
Full circle. The horrible people.
Yes, the horrible people. Even people from like Estonia or something like that.
Oh, we nearly got there with that attack. Lewis, where can people find out more about your great work?
Lewis Schaefer. Go to Lewis Schaefer. I stream every single day. It's a minor thing.
It's a major
It's like
thing.
this without any production values, without any content, without any videos, without any guests. It's the least work possible. That's why they've never heard of me. I'm one of the funniest people in the entire world. I am. Anybody who's seen me, they know there's something amazing about Lewis Schaefer. But when you do no work, it's better to be an incompetent and be hardworking.
No scheduled performances pending.
No, just today at 5 o'clock and tomorrow, and maybe at 10:30, twice a day maybe, and maybe tomorrow at 5. How much more time? How much more do you need?
Lewis,
how much more do you need? Thank you for having
Lewis
me.
Schaefer.
I don't want to leave. Do I have to leave?
You have to leave. That's what those people are standing there for.
I can't.
We'll find a place for you. You stay there.
You can go quietly.
Do I get up right now?
No, don't do that. We're going to go to this. That is Lewis Schaefer. What a great honesty. I think I'd use the word. Honesty comes from you.
No. It's not honesty. It's stupidity. It's not keeping my mouth shut because. I'm a guest in this country. This is a great country. This country created America.
I look at you and I think to myself, somebody needs a hug.
Yes.
Right, let's go to the news. See you later.
Good morning, I'm Fiona MacLeod. Sorry about that. What do you think about my Ed Hughes impression? Oh, what a day in Blighty. Keir McNobber has finally apologised for the state's historic forced adoption scandal. A stain on our history, he declared. Cheers, mate. Meanwhile, the knob of the North is promising radical devolution and good growth, because handing more power to the regions has never gone wrong before. Fiscal discipline, too. I know Nobbs, and he's a right one. In actual progress, they've scrapped the ancient Vagrancy Act, so rough sleeping is no longer a crime. Brilliant. Problem solve, just let illegal migrants take up residence wherever they like, and Gary Glitter's been hit with fresh historical sex charges. Who wants to be in my gang? Truly Britain at its finest. Pass the booze.
He's still here. He won't go. Give my regards to Nunhead. Hardly meet me in St. Louis. I'm going to try and tell you something about these papers for a minute. I'm meant to do this. Burnham Manifesto allows some taxes to rise. Like we haven't been taxed enough. You got more. The Times says that. Prime Minister in waiting rules out crude benefit cuts and promises rates break for pubs. I don't believe that. I'll see what my next guest thinks about that. Tequila sunrise. There we are. He's so poor, he's already stolen the papers. Steady. England fans victory. Yeah, apparently. Let's go through these. That's probably the quickest way to do it. You've got them on the screen there. Apparently England's big all-nighter there. Apparently the pubs will be open until 5 a.m. We were talking about that earlier on in the show. How many of you will be at work at 9 o'clock on Monday morning? Obviously, if you work in accident and emergency, you'll be on overtime. Everybody else might be a little bit green behind the gills. I'm still continuing with the fishing concept there. Dark one, this one, kick out rape gang monster now. That's Daily Express. A horrible, horrible individual who was involved with the rape gangs. They're not grooming gangs, they're rape gangs. He's being released from prison, apparently. And why? Why did he have such a short sentence? This is going to create rage. I don't know where that's going. A couple more. Can we just get them up again? A quick run through them. £15 billion spree for military could cost 20,000 jobs. This is the Morning Star. Hardly a right-wing paper, but I happen to agree. Starmer commits his successor to spending money on a war that's not going to happen with cash we haven't got. A very strange thing there. And the Metro rapist cop jailed for 10 years. The worst thing of all, when you've actually got glitter faces for child sex raps, that's hardly surprising, it's in the Mirror. But the Metro story, once again, the people who are meant to keep us safe and secure are being jailed for doing exactly the things they're meant to prevent. That is a real big problem, I think. And it's just one more here. Change law to kick out rapists, number 10 told. That's the argument, to say that if you misbehave in this country, just get out. Because this country doesn't deserve to have people like you being messed around from the goodness of this country's heart. So you have a look at that. Please do comment as well. Do follow the channel. It does help. Just click, and that does really, especially if you press the like button, that really helps the channel grow. And hopefully you like what we're doing here. In the meantime, after Lewis Schaefer, I've hardly got the energy.
Deep breath.
Calm, yeah. Pooch isn't actually qualified as a psychiatrist, but he might get an honorary doctorate. Let's face it, if David Lammy could get some sort of a degree from Harvard, everyone should. Let me thank you very much indeed. This might be a little bit easier with my next guest, who has wandered into the studio. It's Lee. Lee, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm very glad to be here. How can I follow Lewis Schaefer, though?
Who are you?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Who are you? I mean, it's not rhetorical. Okay. Tell people.
I am Lee Harris, political commentator, big on Twitter, started my own YouTube channel recently. And yeah, I literally just wandered in the studio.
There are 70 million YouTube channels on the Naked City. I do feel an increase in competitiveness there. Well, it's good of you to come in. What do you make of Mr. Schaefer there?
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah, I've watched Lewis on GB News for a while before they stopped having him on for whatever reason, I don't know. But yeah, I've always found him quite entertaining. He says exactly what comes into head. There's no filter with Lewis at all. That's why I like him.
Yeah, I think he's just great value. It's this kind of acidic cynicism that comes across. But
wherever you don't expect him to go, he will go.
He does. He didn't like me.
I'm sure.
The best compliment he gave me was halfway through when he said, "Well, you're not quite as bad as I thought." And I felt complimented.
That is a compliment.
Well, I felt lifted by that.
Lewis. He's like that with everyone. No, I think he's great. I'd say I watched him on GB News. He was a bit of you had to take a deep breath while watching him.
It is very good.
Pushed it very close to Ofcom rules a few times.
I wonder if he carries on like that on the tube. I don't like you. I don't like you. You're all right. I don't like you, and you're probably not even from Britain. I
don't know, but I bet you is what you see is what you get with Lewis. Probably.
What do you cover in your podcast?
It's called Real Britain. I've only just started it, and it's basically going to be a 2 or 3 videos a week on general commentary, and hopefully at some point soon we're going to do 1 interview a week with someone notable from that week's news if I can. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's a bit of a slow starter, I've got to admit, YouTube.
It's always like that. It's always like that because that's where the media is going, a lot of people think.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, the way I look at it is mainstream media in the next probably decade isn't going to exist in its current form. It's going to be there, but it's not going to exist in its current form. And certainly, I think YouTube will become, buy shares in YouTube. A lot of people have. It's going to be probably one of the main sources of news for everybody in the world, not just the UK. So I figured, get in there now, get yourself on YouTube, just like this fantastic new channel. You're going to be very well placed in the next decade compared to, I think, mainstream media. So I think it was rude not to get on YouTube.
We're going to go to guests in a minute. Just want to ask you one more question, though. What do you care about?
Me, I care deeply about this country and my daughter's future. That is all that drives me. There's so much wrong with this country at the moment, and I think it's existential. I think if we don't change course or do something immediately, this is why I believe the next election is so important, then I think we're headed towards a very, very dark place. We're already in a dark place, but I think it's going to get a lot worse.
Which is a very apposite thing to say based on what our next guest talks about. One of the areas that really bothers me as a parent is this obsession with sexual identity and gender politics, talking about things which children have no reason to discuss. Age inappropriate things. There used to be a watershed for that. Now we're shoveling this into schools.
Yeah.
Well, somebody who's quite vocal on this and has created some controversy, though I don't think his position is controversial, is Stuart Waiton. And he joins us now. At least as far as I'm concerned, that's more like it. The bottom half of your face is joining us, but the rest of you aren't there. You've censored the top half of your head. That's just the roof. That'll work really, really well. Thank you for joining us, Stuart. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll talk about the subject.
My name's Stuart Waiton. I'm an academic in Dundee. I have also set up a group called the Scottish Union for Education, which the strap line is education, not indoctrination. And I get into trouble because I challenge a lot of things that people would describe as woke. I'm a free speech advocate, and I try to encourage my students to understand liberalism, I guess. A lot of people are not that liberal today. It's an interesting thing.
My old party is neither liberal nor democratic anymore. They're just basically a kind of namby-pamby version of an even worse party, namely the Greens. But I'm not here to get counselling from you. I will need counselling after the show, but we'll do that after 12. You actually tried to moderate the language, but I saw that you had a rather interesting commentary in Compact, The Injustice That Cannot Be Named. And you were called a rather strong phrase. It was F. Waiton sexist, see you next Tuesday. What was that all about?
Yeah, that was... so this is a fascinating thing that's happened in Scotland. I think it's probably happening in the UK in general, but Scotland's worse, which is that essentially the criminal justice system up here has become what I describe as a victim justice system. And part of that is the dominance of feminist academics, feminist research, feminist organizations, and politicians who all appear to have a very similar sort of victim feminist perspective. And what has happened over the last 20 years is that essentially they've developed a system that limits the amount of evidence in rape trials to the extent where the Supreme Court has even had to say that you cannot get a fair trial in Scotland. So basically Article 6, the right to a fair trial, is said to have been breached, and it's been breached for over a decade. So there are hundreds, possibly up to 1,000 men in prison who haven't received a fair trial, many of whom will be victims of a miscarriage of justice. And this all came out at the end of last year. The media touched on it for a second, but basically, unlike some of the other issues where conservative newspapers get involved, even conservative newspapers and commentators don't seem to want to touch this issue because who wants to defend rapists, right? Nobody seems to want to touch this. So basically what happened to me is I invited these campaigners. So there's a group of women, largely women, called Justice for Innocent Men Scotland. I invited them in my university to give a talk to explain what's happening in Scotland and what they think some of the problems are with the justice system, which, as I say, the Supreme Court, a week after this, came out and basically verified what was being said. But at the time, there was outrage about this. A kind of victim campaigner went online, said this is a disgrace that these women were allowed to speak, that they are questioning the victim's voice. There was graffiti scrawled all over the school opposite my office saying, as you say, Waiton, rape apologist, sexist, C-word, racist as well, thrown in for good measure. 300 complaints to the university. I was then under investigation, or at least the situation was, not necessarily me. The press went ballistic, sort of trying to tar my name and suggest that I'm all sorts of things that I'm
on
not.
that one, sorry to interrupt you, but I noticed that in Spiked, there's a headline which says, "Is it a thought crime to question," I'm quoting it exactly to not get it wrong, "is it a thought crime to question Scotland's biased rape trials? Academic Stuart Waiton is facing a national witch hunt for defending the right to a fair trial." Now, this seems to accord very much with what you're saying now. And it does seem to me that we're talking about the extent to which we actually believe in free speech in this country.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a very interesting crossover because essentially in courts, you're not allowed to raise all sorts of evidence because it's seen as something that will re-traumatize the woman. Now, of course, the problem with this is that if you're in a court, you don't know if that woman is telling the truth or she's telling a lie, right? So she may be a rape victim, but she may not be, right? The victim in a court situation may be the man. But because there's that kind of sentiment now that you mustn't re-traumatize vulnerable groups, speech is being limited in court. Courts are essentially being turned into safe spaces, right? And then you see this exact same thing replicated at my university, where some people come in to talk about this, and that is then seen as something that is going to be re-traumatizing and has to be closed down. And there's moral outrage about even raising the question about should we be looking at what's happening in courts in Scotland. And I can guarantee that a lot of these developments are happening in England as well. And it essentially means you look at the number of people who are now going to trial and who are being imprisoned for sexual offences, and it's off the charts, like the number of prisoners now. Now, obviously, lots of them will be guilty, arguably most of them. But I can also guarantee that there is a hell of a lot of people in prison at the minute who at the very least have not received a fair trial because we've now developed a victim justice system that doesn't want to control it.
There's a phrase which I came across when I was looking at your work, rape shield convictions. What are those?
Say that again?
Rape shield convictions. There's some idea that evidence relating to the character and past sexual history of accusers can't be used in court.
Yeah, so rape shields have developed for 20 years. So you either can't see the person, a man can't act as his own, his own defence. But much more seriously and significantly, I think, is how they've managed to limit evidence, right, and the actual evidence that's allowed. So you've got this classic example where there's a case, and this guy hasn't been, there's no exoneration, nothing. He served his time, he's out now, his life's kind of wrecked. He went out on a night out, he owned a pub, goes on a night out, They're all drinking. He starts kissing with a woman. They end up in a disabled toilet. There's a report about this CCTV footage, etc. And they had sex in the toilet. Basically, everyone realizes this. They end up back at his house. She then, at the end of the night, runs out and says she's been raped. Right now, I don't know what happened in their house. The only people that really know are the two people. But all of the evidence of the evening, right, the holding hands, the kissing, the fact that they had sex in the toilet, that was seen as inadmissible. Right, and it's seen as inadmissible because they've developed this kind of logical fallacy where they say one event does not explain another event. They are separate. It is a different time. It is a different place, etc., etc. And you can't say pre-booked consent just because you've had sex once doesn't mean you can have sex again. That's a rape myth, right, as they call it. So all of the evidence of the evening was doctored. The transcripts of what was said by him and her were deleted. The CCTV footage was cancelled, so you can only start watching it late at night from outside a pub when they're both drunk. Witness statements gone. The whole evening is obliterated, and he's not able to tell any of that story. And he ends up being convicted of rape, sent to prison for, I think it was 5 or 6 years. And this seems to be a regular occurrence, that there's all sorts of, you get text messages, sexual text messages before or after the alleged rape, Facebook posts, and so on. And all of that evidence is said to you can't use that because that doesn't tell us about the specific incident, the specific rape allegation. Then it's gone. It's just incredible.
Stuart, we could do a whole show on this. I want to finish with a question about the state of the nation. Lee, who I'll speak to again in a moment, and earlier Lewis thinks that the country is in a terrible mess. What conclusion do you draw from this? Is it about rape? Is it about giving women and men, actually, as well, who've been victims of abuse, more opportunity to see justice? Or is this a free speech issue?
I think it's more than that. I think it's a culture war issue. I think what we are seeing is modern establishment who are fairly contemptuous of ordinary people. They think we live in a rape culture, as called. They think we have this thing called toxic masculinity everywhere.
This phrase, toxic masculinity, I've got major issues with that. I wonder if you share this concern that we're actually emasculating men by talking about masculinity in a way which has now got this moral association, that if you're very masculine, that's potentially a negative.
Yeah, 100%. Toxic masculinity is just another word for masculinity.
Sorry about that. Okay. Carry on.
So masculinity itself, as you're suggesting, is now really being redefined as toxic. And you can see the problem, because what happened in Scotland, just briefly, is that they tried to abolish juries in rape trials. So this was a few years ago. And the reason that they argue that they need to abolish juries is because juries believe in rape myths. In other words, ordinary people are bigots, right? That's the argument. Ordinary people are bigots. They believe in rape myths. So we can't have juries in rape trials. We can only have experts, right, who are empathetic and victim-aware, trauma-informed, and so on. So they try to get rid of juries. And this idea of rape myths continues. So if you can't get rid of juries, then what do? Well, you have to limit as much evidence as possible, because you can't trust ordinary people to make a judgment about rape because of this toxic masculinity, this rape culture, and so on. So I very much think this is a real classic example of a culture war situation where you have elites who look at the ordinary people, think that they're deplorable. And so what do?
Stuart, wait, sorry, once again, we're not trying to get rid of you like that, but I do need to end the interview. Where can people find out more about your thinking if they want to?
Well, you could just check. I've written a journal article on this, but if they just put in my name, Stuart Waiton, rape, jury, and so on, and you could also look up Justice for Innocent Men Scotland on Facebook, and they've got a website as well. So there's a lot of work being done around this at the minute, because, as I say, there's hundreds of men, and these men are already now applying to have their trials re-looked at. But the media aren't interested. Nobody seems to care that this is arguably the biggest legal scandal in Scottish history.
Well, we are interested, so interested we even added some incidental music. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
That is Stuart Waiton. Lee Harris, this has bothered me a lot, not least because this toxic masculinity thing, in my view, is seeking to emasculate the male half of the population. What I loathe is when people go on about violence against women and girls. Violence against victims. It's not about your gender.
Yeah.
A very large proportion, not a majority, but a significant proportion of abuse victims are male. And I'm just wondering if all this ties into, as I say, the emasculation of humans.
I think you're absolutely right. Fascinating interview, by the way. I found what Stuart had to say very interesting. To me, this instantly stinks of yet another example of our judicial system being completely infested by woke left-wing ideology. The fact that he can't even present a question, because that to me seems, I've just had a look at that Spiked article that you mentioned, he's just presenting a question. He's asking people to think critically about what's happening in the judicial system. It is a very difficult topic, and I know rape is very difficult to convict people, and that's why the numbers are so bad. But to me, this is definitely being blocked massively by this infestation of leftism within our institutions. It's in our judiciary, it's in the police. I've just watched another horrific example that's going viral on social media of the police, and I'm not trying to change the subject, of a police officer instantly diving into a white guy who was being attacked by 5 or 6 black guys, and they instantly rushed to arrest the one lone white guy who was arrested.
This just happened really recently.
Very recently.
Yeah, I heard about this on the way in.
It is a fundamental issue that if we don't fix, it is going to cause, and this is one of the other things I believe, that will cause a breakdown in the social contract is already breaking down, but in society in general. I do believe that something like this can lead to civil war. If we lose faith in our institutions, if we lose faith in the police, I currently do not trust the police.
There's a film called Citizen Vigilante, you may have heard of it.
I've seen it.
I haven't seen it. I've seen about 10, 15 minutes of it. It's absolutely enthralling.
It is.
Well, I grew up in Northern Ireland, like I said before, or the north of Ireland, if you come from a certain part of the political spectrum. And in Northern Ireland, vigilantism and paramilitary operations, they definitely had an impact on crime and non-crime. I wonder, having lived in that situation, how close we are to the breakdown that you're inferring.
I think we're teetering right on the edge of it. I mean, don't forget we saw the horrific scenes after Southport. It didn't take very much for people to absolutely lose their rag. And I'm not buying this far right rioting nonsense. Of course, there are people out there causing trouble, but these were genuine. In my view, these were genuine. Because I was one of them. I was very upset, not rioting, but I was very, like most of the nation, upset, wanted to do something to try and change the situation. And we are seeing the British people's patience wearing thinner than I've ever seen it be worn thin.
And I worry that if we cross that Rubicon, if we get to a stage where the public simply say, police, forget it.
Yeah.
We've got this. Just stay away. You can't put that genie back in the bottle.
No. Well, I try and take the optimistic view that everything can be fixed given enough time. But I also believe, and again, I'm repeating myself, but this is why I believe that the next election is so important. We're witnessing the breakdown of the police. We have only just, let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago that we only just managed to rein in the Labour Party, who were going to allow the Sentencing Council to sentence white people more harshly than ethnic minorities for exactly the same offence. for some bizarre logic of balancing up the legal system. It shouldn't have anything to do with the colour of your skin. It should just be based on what you have done. It is as simple as that. It doesn't matter whether you're white or black. Everyone should be treated the same. And I just see all of these things. You've got the judiciary, the police, it's within our politics, it's within every single institution that we've got. We've got a massive job. If Reform are going to be good to their word at the next election, if they do get into power, they have got a massive, massive task ahead of them to try and change all of this. It's biblical.
It's an enormous task because it's going the other way. One of the reasons I'm not in the Lib Dems is because it seemed to me we were getting this vanilla sky sort of conformist merging where you couldn't have people like our previous guest there on the station or on in a party because it's too much, because it doesn't fit those narrow parameters. Labour, Conservative, Lib Dem, almost the same. I think one reason the Greens have done well is because, even though I think they're pretty balmy, they're outside the box.
I completely agree with that analysis. That's why they've done well, because they're just not. They don't resemble anything in our mainstream politics. And arguably, that's why Reform have done so well.
Coming up next, we're going to be talking to one of the most uncontrollable people it's ever been my honour to appear on television with. His absolute gold dust. It'll be Mr. Menno. Before that, let's have another look at the news.
Good morning, I'm Fiona MacLeod. Sorry about that. What do you think about my Ed Hughes impression? Oh, what a day in Blighty. Keir McNobber has finally apologised for the state's historic forced adoption scandal. A stain on our history, he declared. Cheers, mate. Meanwhile, the knob of the North is promising radical devolution and good growth, because handing more power to the regions has never gone wrong before. Fiscal discipline, too. I know Knobs, and he's a right one. In actual progress, they've scrapped the ancient Vagrancy Act, so rough sleeping is no longer a crime. Brilliant. Problem solve. Just let illegal migrants take up residence wherever they like. And Gary Glitter's been hit with fresh historical sex charges. Who wants to be in my gang? Truly Britain at its finest. Pass the booze.
I want her to be real.
We're not going to talk about what I just said, are we?
No, we can't do that.
No.
I was being rhetorical.
Oh, yes.
It's a refreshing approach
I
towards the news.
completely agree.
Maybe we can put it that way.
I think she's fantastic at reading the news.
Fantastic at reading the news. Yeah, let's leave it at that for now. You're watching UK Live. Please do press the like button. It makes a big difference. Costs you nothing, but it helps us in all kinds of ways I couldn't even begin to explain. Algorithms and stuff like that. Now, we promised you pizzazz, effervescence, which is a phrase which you can use about wine. Do watch Plonk of the Week, by the way. You'll see more about effervescence there. This is a form of human effervescence that we're going to have next. It's Mr. Menno, who we haven't spoken to for a while, but he's a self-generated genius. Mr. Menno, how have you been? How have you been?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
All the better for seeing you. It's been a while. I'm sorry, I've been a bit busy. Standing outside the door here saying, "Gives a job."
And it worked.
Seems like it. It depends what you do in the next 15 or 20 minutes.
Oh, no pressure then.
What have you been up to? Tell people what you do first, by the way, for those in the unlikely event that some people don't know who you are.
I've just been keeping track of all this gender madness, which seems to be just relentless. Like, I was just reviewing the news from June, which has been a bumper month, because all this stuff is just kicking off from the Supreme Court to House of Parliament to Albert Square, of all places, and my local pool. So where do you want to start?
Let's start with the thing that has annoyed you the most. Whatever that is.
So much. It's really hard to choose. But there's a case going on at the moment, which is ridiculous, where there's a bloke who claims to be a woman who's taking his employer to a tribunal because they wouldn't allow him in a support group for menopausal women. That's one of the things.
And why does it annoy you so much? Why does it annoy you so much? Why that particular thing?
Because it's utterly bonkers. you have a man who wants to get into a support group for women, specifically for women. He wants to get into that group. There's an organization, there's a network in his organization that says, actually, no, you shouldn't be there. He believes that means he's being discriminated against. So it's a man trying to force his way into a women-specific, a women-only support group. And when he's told, no, that's not a good idea, he takes him to court.
So I actually went to the Alliance for Responsible Citizenship last week, ARC, wonderful conference. And there's a woman there from Australia.
Sal Grover.
Yeah, that's right, Sal Grover, who's actually found in the wrong for excluding a man who identified as a woman. And she said almost exactly the same thing that you said. And said, essentially, these people are doing the exact opposite of what the wokerati claim they're doing. They're taking away women's spaces. They're taking away women's rights because apparently a man can be a woman. I can essentially tell you I'm a woman, and according to where this thing stands, it's not finished yet in Australia. Yeah. That means that I can go anywhere I please just by labelling myself in that way.
Yeah, you could apply for Miss Universe. I think you'll win. Gorgeous.
I can't do a thing with my hair.
You don't need to anymore. You just say, I'm a lady. That's it. And also,
the glasses
I think
too
Miss
much.
Universe is now run by a bloke who claims to be a woman. So.
Oh man, this is just mad.
With the tickle, the woman Sal Grover. That case is called Tickle versus Giggle. Yeah. And it sounds like a joke, but it's real. Yeah. Sal and I were meant to have lunch on Tuesday, but I was in the Netherlands and my train back was cancelled, so we didn't get to do that. But the reason she lost is not because she's wrong. It's because the law is messed up in Australia. Because the law sides with men who claim to be women. They have more rights than actual women. And we've seen the same thing in Switzerland this week, where a bloke went to a nudist Lido to the women-only area, and other women are like, mate, you're a bloke. You've got lots of body hair. We can see your tackle. Like, get out. The police got involved. A police officer even got a minor injury. What happened? Because in Switzerland, they have self-ID in the law, which means any man who claims to be a woman is legally a woman. So he actually got an apology from the city of Bern in Switzerland. And the women are told to just put up with it.
Do women do this as well? Do women identify as men and thus insist on the same kind of rights?
Yes. So last year, I actually started legal action against a gay camping organization because, it's just a year ago, I went on a gay men-only camping trip, which was somewhere out in the sticks, in a forest. And it was, clothing on, only wearing your birthday suit, so to speak. And I get there, and there's a woman there with, completely naked, but she had surgery to have, like, I call it a Frankenphallus. It's like a fake penis made out of her arm. So she's standing there with her arm dangling between her legs, and I'm like, hold on, I thought this was men only. So I got in touch with them, but they say she's a man, so I filed a court claim.
And what's happened so far?
We settled because the court system is set up for something not to actually get to court.
Yeah.
So when you approach them, you have to say, if you give me X, Y, Z, I'm willing to settle. And very quickly they went, okay, all right, yes, just, shut up forever. Don't ever talk about it. And I went like, well, hang on. I want to talk about it. So
basically the fact they settled means it doesn't get any further. You can't set that all-important thing, which they're probably terrified of, a legal precedent, a bit like the UK, where, lo and behold, it took a court to determine that a man is a man. Who knew? Who knew?
Exactly. And this is very important also for lesbian-only spaces and gay men-only spaces. Because if any Tom, Dick and Harry can call himself a lesbian, and every woman can call herself a gay man, and we have no legal act to stand on, then we've got nowhere to go, right? And this woman is essentially a straight woman. She's a straight woman. And she's standing there naked among gay men, thinking, I belong here. And then if I say, hang on, I'm the one who's not allowed to come back.
There's a film called The Commitments, which I happen to remember from long ago. I saw it when it first came out. And before we go further, I'm going to read this to you. Why I love Mike Graham's channel. Men can suggest what they really see and not be labelled sexist. This from a woman who can enjoy the truth. And that's gone too fast there. Rab and a number. Well, good for you. And so on. Thank you. I got it back. Rab 1962. So there we go. Good on you for saying so. A film called The Commitments. And there's one point where one of the characters trying to get this bunch of slightly down and out-ish white kids from a bad part of Dublin to think like a blues band and you know, get the soul. And he says to them all, Wilson Pickett tells, Wilson Pickett's friend. It's not Wilson Pickett.
No, that's who they're trying to get to think like.
Yeah, think like Wilson Pickett. He says, think of yourself, say, I'm black and I'm proud. And one of the white guys is sitting there with a saxophone. He says to the others, I'm black and I'm proud. And we all laugh. Now you're allowed to do it. Now you can do it. Now, if you laugh, that's would be an insult because you can identify as a proud black person, whatever colour you are.
The laughing thing is something that worked against Sal Grover. So the first time she went to court, there was some evidence that somebody talked about the bloke who's taking her to court. Somebody made a candle and named it after his sweaty balls. Oh, right. This came up during the hearings, and it's so ridiculous that Sal laughed, and then the judge held that against her. So
something like £10,000 or something of contempt, $10,000 for contempt. She actually got fined.
Then doubled at the next, at the full federal court. So now she has to pay £20,000. I think it's all together costing about $1 million.
She's taking it to another level now.
Yes.
But what I want, go on.
She's applied to the High Court, which is their Supreme Court, for the case to be heard. They can deny that, but I hope they'll hear it because that's where she can actually challenge the law itself. In the federal court, they're just looking at what the law is. So the judges themselves, they kind of got their hands tied behind their back because all they can do is point out the law. And if the law is messed up, then they can't say, well, actually, we think the law is wrong, therefore we'll give a different judgment. But the law itself can be challenged in the High Court. That's my understanding. How
did we get here? How did we get to a situation where you and I are actually having this conversation? Because when I grew up and called me old-fashioned, men were generally men, women were generally women. A tiny proportion, in fact, a tiny proportion of people really, I think, legitimately have a gender reassignment, whatever you want to call it. And I met a very small number of them. They don't tend to be political, those people, I would say. A lot of them, they just want quietly to make a change. But now we talk about this like it's key to life itself. Now, it may be important to people who think this, but it's not really the crucial thing to others. And they're now being fined. And people like Sal Grover, they're in contempt of court. And the whole life is being taken over by the crazy idea that there should be women-only spaces that don't have men who pretend to be women.
Right. So the shit is really, the gender shit is hitting the fan. You know, that's been quite clear for at least the last 5 years. You ask, how did we get here? We got here, if you want to understand that answer, you need to go back about 100 years at least to sort of 1910, 1920s when this started to take root, and it's developed from there. So it actually has quite a long history. And it all started with men saying, please, can you cut my dick off, basically? And a surgeon going, oh, I can do that. And then an endocrinologist going, oh, I can give you some hormones. And it just spiraled from there. And then it became a so-called, it was reframed as a civil rights issue. So the early decisions were all made by surgeons and endocrinologists, not by politicians or lawyers or human rights experts. It all started with cockless men. And then what do we do with these men? I don't know. Let's pretend they're women. Yeah. And here we are.
Yeah, it's interesting, given your own orientation. It's, oh, you're a traitor. You must get that. Oh, how dare you?
But I'm going to go to Pride tomorrow. I don't know what kind of reception I'll get, because the question I'll be asking is, hey, guys, do you think LGB belongs with the T or that LGB should drop the T? Because I think we absolutely need to drop it.
I don't know. What bothers me so much is so much time is taken up with people being terrified. I got kids. I do not want them to have age-inappropriate sexual education, which is actually almost certainly irrelevant to them, but could be confusing. I don't want to have teachers who are terrified of this. Marilyn Hawes, who runs Freedom from Abuse, she's pointed out to me that apparently we're heading towards a piece of legislation which says if a child thinks their parent has been acting in a way which is trying to prevent them from realising their trans ambitions, you can go to prison for 5 years and have an unlimited fine. That's the Cultural Revolution in China. That's the Soviet system.
Right, so this law, they've been trying to pass a law like this in the UK for years. Theresa May was the first who said, yes, I can make this happen. Then Boris Johnson jumped on it, but he kind of looked at it and went, whoa, that's way too difficult, never mind. Then Rishi Sunak said it would be part of their King's speech, or Queen's speech at the time. I can't remember if she was still alive, sorry. And he dropped it. Then the Scottish government tried to do it. They failed. Then there was a private member's bill by a Labour guy, Russell Morrill. I can never remember the order of those names. But that failed. So they keep pushing for it. And now Labour is doing it again. It also recently, I think last week or just 2 weeks ago, passed in Spain. Holland also passed it. So this is an international thing where it's all happening at the same time. And that's no coincidence. So that's what we need to look at. Who is really behind all this and why?
I've got an even more personal question for you. And I'm going to ask it. I'm going to ask this on behalf of the world.
Sorry, really busy weekend.
Okay, well, forget the question. Forget the question then.
No!
The other question. Is it your birthday?
It was in June.
And you still got the cards?
Well, I only just got back from Holland yesterday, so I've just put them up.
Happy birthday. Happy 50th.
50.
I don't believe it. There's no way you're the same age as me. I'm making that bit up about me.
Another one. I beg your pardon. I won't be going down no lady garden.
How long did it take you to put that together? Right? How long did it take you to put that together?
That one took about 2 weeks. So yeah, they're a bit time consuming, but now I'm looking into using AI because that might save a bit of time.
Vane Francois 23 gives it high marks. Happy 50th birthday from Keith Holderness.
Thank you.
Brilliant, says Vacation Generation. That's what that generation's come to now. They've got enough time to sit at home at this time of day and watch this. Hilarious, says Nora. We've got more reaction to that video than anything else that's happened today. Mrs. Doubtfire wannabes. There's red black. It's great to see so much reaction to it. I am interested, though, to ask this question. We've discussed this before on other shows. Why does it annoy you so much?
Because it's so mad. It is so mad. And it's not just mad, it's tearing apart the fabric of society. I know that sounds really grand, but that's what's happening. That's what you can see when you look at that Sal Grover case. It's turning everything upside down. It's completely redefining what a woman is, what a man is, what a homosexual man or a lesbian is. These are the foundations of life, you know. It's sex. Sex is real and it matters. So if you can make people believe that that's not real, you can make them believe anything. This is completely Orwellian. I think George Orwell, you know, who wrote the novel 1984, would like, if he was alive today, he'd be like, what? It wasn't an instruction manual.
I have to say that my worry is, my opinion coming up now, that this is a deliberate attempt to try to dissolve some of the core aspects of our society for some reason. And then you get this weirdness where you're accused of being wrong or unacceptable or discriminatory for questioning
right? I'm
it.
the bigot for saying that a woman can't be a gay man. I'm the Nazi fascist bigot transphobe.
Yeah. And
this is mad.
Ironic, considering you are a gay man, that
Very
they do this. Extraordinary. I think you're showing great courage going to Pride. Then, do you actually argue about it with people? Do you try to convince people?
I do, but I don't go there just to, some people, they go and they just want to stir up shit and, get a reaction. I go there to actually see what kind of conversations can we still have. So last year when I went, my question was, how do you feel about the Supreme Court ruling? And most people just went, oh my God, it's outrageous, it's awful, trans. And I'm like, well, actually, it was really good for gay people. Yeah. And they don't know.
Yeah. And if you were the Mr. Menno is great, says Denise Fletcher. I don't get this kind of praise. There's a phrase from Gore Vidal: every time I see my friends do well, something in me dies. But we'll move on from that. Pooch knows that one. Meow Moog says 50th. Nah, doesn't believe it. Lying about your age. I made it back just in time, says Meow Moog. Yeah, well, you did to get mentioned live here on UK Live. Make sure you press like for that. That's the quid pro quo here. If you gave one piece of advice to the incoming new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, who just basically said, amazingly, I think he said something like, this is the gayest government we've ever had, ever. What advice would you give Andy Burnham on this subject?
Well, Andy Burnham is totally on board with all the trans madness. So I would say to him, if you're going to lie about, or if you're going to pretend that you don't know what a man or a woman is, then people can't believe anything you say. That's something that Sel Grove has pointed out before. If you lie about something so fundamental and so basic and so obvious as that, no one can believe anything else that comes out of your mouth.
Well, Mr. Menno, happy 50th birthday from all of us here. It's great to see you again. We'll have to have another chat. Yeah, I'll give you a call after the show. See if we can make some sense of that. That is Mr. Menno. Where can people find you? Where can they find you?
Well, on YouTube, it's Mr. Menno, MRMENNO. And on Twitter, it's Mr. Menno Tweets.
That is great. Great to see you again. Have a good time. Good luck with Pride. And if you're around, if you survive it, maybe we'll find out what happened next week. That is Mr. Menno. And from one magic moment of broadcasting genius to another, because this is just the warm-up. What we get next is a man who knows more about football than I know about being patient with American guests. It's Mark Littlewood. Mark, good to see you. Oh, my goodness,
how are you?
Not bad. I have to say, I stayed up. I was there for the incredible last moments of that Portugal-Croatia match. I guess you were watching it too.
Yeah, we said on yesterday's show, stay up, stay up, stay up. This is going to be an incredible game. Definitely the game of the tournament so far, and definitely, too, the most controversial game of the tournament so far. Had everything, two great teams. I'm wearing my Ronaldo Portugal shirt today. As you can see, I'll jump on any bandwagon available during this World Cup, Lembit. So I'm on the Ronaldo bandwagon. We'll be dissecting that game. But of course, we're going to be looking forward to all of the games this weekend. And Lembit, if you stayed up for Portugal versus Croatia, are you going to be going down the pub late Sunday night, early Monday morning, 1 a.m. Monday morning, Mexico versus England?
No, because I'm here. I'm here afterwards. I'll watch the game, but I don't think I can justify the pub visit. Unless you're there, we could do it live. We could actually stay. We could stay till 5 a.m. We could get a bacon sandwich, carry on. Yep. Maybe they'll stay open till 9. And then we can come onto the station and go, ever, I really love you. Are you going to be in the pub?
I will definitely be in the pub for Mexico versus England. You can absolutely count on it. And I loved what you suggested we could live broadcast at 5 a.m. You have picked up the tone of Mark Littlewood's World Cuppa show just perfectly. That's more or less what we broadcast for an hour or so, those kind of thoughts.
And what thoughts do you have? You'll go into the details on this. Altitude sickness for England team, is that going to be a factor?
It's almost certain to be a factor. We've got a whole scientific breakdown on that. The stadium England will be playing at won't just be hostile, it will be very hostile because it'll be full of Mexican fans, probably only a handful of thousands of England fans, but it is more than 7,000 feet above sea level, which is an altitude that Mexico and Mexican players are used to playing at, and England, frankly, not. That's the big, big hurdle. I'm not suggesting the Mexican team don't present a hurdle at all, but that is a huge one. What I'm trying to find out, and I'm a bit worried about this, Lembit, is what steps did England take in the build-up to prepare for this? This is how the bracket was expected to fall, right? If everything went according to plan, both for Mexico and England, you were expecting Mexico versus England in Mexico City in this round. So I'm trying to find out whether any sort of preparation for that altitude match has been done over, not over the last 24 hours, but over the last 24 months. But knowing England's record on preparing for penalties, we probably haven't done any preparation for altitude matches either. So who knows?
I've been to Mexico City. I was there on business, and you're actually lightheaded before you start, just because of the altitude. Just put the booze on top. Who knows what happens to the fans? Here's one suggestion that one of my more wayward friends suggested, Mark. That is, if altitude gives you the same effect as booze, the England team should practice when they're drunk. And then when they go there, it'll be just the same.
Yeah, I would accept it if they said that was their sort of preparation. A proper hydration break before training, next 6 or 8 pints, and then see what you can do on the football pitch. So this is you're thinking along the right lines. I just hope that Thomas Tuchel has the same sort of Lembit Opik tactical imaginative genius when it comes to association football.
I sense a hint of irony there, but carry on. Yeah.
We also know from last night that Spain have found form. They have obliterated Austria. Austria had a German manager. They're now out. That means the only German left at the tournament is England's manager. He is the only German left standing. So there you go. There's something to cheer about over the weekend, however it goes in Mexico City, right?
Will that lead to the rather strange situation where Germany will be cheering on England? I don't think so, but we'll find out.
Probably not.
And so you're on now, and I'll be seeing you at around midnight, probably, in whichever local pub you want. And nothing can possibly go wrong on UK Live after that.
Hang on, right.
Good luck. I shall be glued to my set in just a few minutes. That's Mark Littlewood. He's coming up as soon as I finish, which is just about now. Big thank you to the team, Pooch, Leona, everybody else here. Big thanks to my guests. Mr. Schaefer, what a great guy. And Lee, pleasantly in here as well. And we had Paul Burgess, who is a man after my own heart. There is no climate emergency, it's my opinion, but I'm right. Stuart Waiton, who's fighting the fight for independence of thought up in Scotland. And Mr. Menno, who's taking his safety in his hands to try and introduce common sense at a Pride event. And of course, Mark Littlewood coming out next as well. Thank you more than anything to you in advance for pressing, if you haven't done already, the button to like UK Live. It helps us a lot, costs you nothing. From now on, make sure this is your number one place to go. Have a great weekend. I think I'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, good luck to England. And the first round is on Mark Littlewood. On to the news.
Good morning. I'm Fiona MacLeod. Sorry about that. What do you think about my Ed Hughes impression? Oh, what a day in Blighty. Keir McNobber has finally apologised for the state's historic forced adoption scandal. A stain on our history, he declared. Cheers, mate. Meanwhile, the knob of the North is promising radical devolution and good growth, because handing more power to the regions has never gone wrong before. Fiscal discipline too. I know Nobbs, and he's a right one. In actual progress, they've scrapped the ancient Vagrancy Act, so rough sleeping is no longer a crime. Brilliant. Problem solve. Just let illegal migrants take up residence wherever they like. And Gary Glitter's been hit with fresh historical sex charges. Who wants to be in my gang? Truly Britain at its finest. Pass the booze.
Edward Hughes will be making a live, in-person, non-AI appearance later on the show. Stay tuned for that. What a night of football last night. As I was just saying to Lembit, easily the best game of the tournament. Portugal put out Croatia. Heartbreaking, controversial, amazing match. We did say on yesterday's show, stay up to watch that one if you possibly can. We'll be breaking it all down. and going through some of the controversy. I think myself and my wingman, Paul Cox, in the box, take a slightly different view of that. We're also going to be looking ahead to all of the weekend's games, but the last one, late Sunday night, early Monday morning, depending on how you look at it, England against one of the host nations. We'll be talking all the things you need to know about that, the altitude of the stadium, what our opponents are going to look like. And as you know, through this tournament, each round gets harder. But we have beaten the mighty Dr. Congo in the previous round 2-1. He has been slain. He's been surgically removed. He's in the mortuary. We're going to be introducing you to the next big opponent, how we're going to characterize our next opponents, who we meet in Mexico City late on Sunday night, Monday morning. So stay tuned for that. We've got a couple of great guests coming on. Football is art. So we have a brilliant football artist joining us in a short while. But to talk us through what happened last night, as I say, one of the most blistering games of football, certainly the best one of this tournament in my view. Let's bring on my wingman, Paul Cox, in the box from the wrong side of Hampshire, from the Portsmouth side of Hampshire, not the Southampton side of Hampshire. Paul, how the devil are you doing? Have you got the matchsticks out? What did you make of last night?
Good God and buckets of Stella, Mark. What a night of football. In fact, it was a very exciting sandwich, filled each side by some pretty dull and, good football from Spain. And but those games we'll get to in a minute. I'm just going to jump straight in. And by the way, I will say that Spain did beat Austria 3-0 in case you want this done in chronological order. But that was a very straightforward game, as must I say, was Switzerland 2, Algeria 0. Those were the slices of bread, rather dull, co-op white slice, not even extra thick, just the thin slice, the stuff your mum can afford when the child benefits run out, in my case. So let's get on to Portugal, Croatia. What a game. A game essentially decided by the Orwellian VAR at the end, but an incredibly exciting game. Sort of very dramatic encounter. We expected such, Mark. You had said yesterday on the show that this would be the game of the tournament, and you were right. I cannot think of a time that you were wrong, Mark, apart from when you chose a football team to support. But last night's games were terrific. I mean, in terms of excitement, there was only one game to really watch, and that was the game that started at midnight. There was a soft penalty. There was a 103rd minute heartbreak. We had Snicko transferred from cricket for the summer briefly over to the United States so that it could take part in this game. And unfortunately, we had some ugly scenes after the VAR decision because the fans were so frustrated. I don't want to condone that, but I can absolutely empathise. Yeah. Incredibly difficult moment there for the United fans. Now, we're going to get on to the VAR discussion. I'm going to come to you in a minute. But it's no surprise to me that VAR has led to these problems, Mark. What do you make of it?
Well, look, the game was incredible, but we've got to get into the controversy, right? And we've been saying throughout this tournament that all of the technologies work very smoothly, very quickly, got everything bang on right, what's not to love. A tech skeptic like me was beginning to embrace it. And you know what? For all of the Croatian heartbreak, and I can understand why you would be utterly gutted if that's happened to your national team, I'm going to stand up for the tech, Paul. So let's listen to my story here. In the 68th minute, Portugal get a soft penalty. It is a soft penalty. It's not obviously not a penalty. It is a soft penalty. You could argue it either way. The referee gives a penalty and technology doesn't overturn it. So in my view, the entire process was gone through in the right way. You can argue about the referee's decision, but if you're old school football, you want the referee's decision on the pitch to be the final word. They are saying they're using VAR with a light touch here. So the VAR stuff is only supposed to overturn it if it was a completely clear and obvious error. And although you can argue about whether it should have been a penalty, it was not a clear and obvious error. So the penalty should have stood. I'm up for that. Fair play for Portugal to get the penalty. Now, what about the last-minute non-equaliser deep in, in the 103rd minute of a 90-minute game for Croatia? Well, lots of fans, I had somebody on Twitter earlier today was saying that we didn't really see much VAR replays. But you're right on this, Paul. It wasn't video technology that came into play here. It's a chip in the ball, right? Now, offside is maybe not to the human eye, but mathematically, theoretically, offside is a black and white binary decision. There is either a part of your body that is offside, a part of your body that you can legally hit the ball with. Doesn't matter if your hand is offside, for example, but it does matter if your forehead is offside. If you can legally hit the ball with that part of the body and you're offside, you are offside. And the chip in the ball showed that it clearly brushed a Croatian player who was clearly offside. Therefore, the goal was offside. The laws of the game are being enforced by technology. Heartbreaking, game of inches, game of millimetres, I grant you, but the tech got it right. What do you say to that? Cox in the box.
No, and thrice no, Littlewood. Absolutely not. Look, I watch a lot of Championship football, EFL football, not necessarily because I want to, because I'm forced to by birth. I support Portsmouth, and therefore I don't get to watch a massive amount of Premier League football. VAR, to me, until this point, has been something that happens to the privileged football fans, and I've been absolutely okay with it. But football is about humanity. Oh, the humanity, as they said at Hindenburg. And we didn't see that last night. What we saw last night is this clinical Orwellian. This is the binary version of football. Maybe I'm becoming gender fluid when it comes to football, Mark, but I like to see some of these things are made in the moment by human beings. We would have seen 2-2. We would have seen extra time. A great game would have carried on. There'd been a soft penalty. It would have made up for that. I would like to have seen VAR just removed from that. The decision had been made from the referee on pitch. Now, yes, when you look back at it, it does slightly touch his head thanks to the chip in the ball, and the guy is 30 nanometers offside, etc., etc. But what we got there was a version of football that is much better to watch from home than it is to watch in the great stadia of the world, Mark. And I don't think it should be that way. I do disagree with you on this one. I just think we just need the human touch a little bit more, particularly at this level of football, Mark.
Paul, you're being very true to our old school football approach here. I do agree with you in terms of being in the stadium. Look, Southampton are sometimes fleetingly in the Premier League and get trounced. They have VAR in the Premier League, not in the Championship and the lower divisions. And if you're in the ground, you sort of see a goal, you don't know whether to cheer or scream, and then it suddenly comes up on the screen, there's a VAR review. You've only had, as a fee-paying spectator, the chance to watch it once with your own eyes and make a decision. They don't show any replays on the big screen, so you've only got your millisecond analysis of what's happened. No replays are shown, and it just comes up on the big screen. Goal disallowed offside or goal allowed onside. So you're right, I think, Paul. You're starting to talk me into it, that unfortunately it might now be better to watch football on television, given the state of technology, than go to the ground. Now, I think that's very bad for league football. For World Cup football, you're kind of going for the festival atmosphere, and I'm guessing 99.99% of football fans are watching it on television. But I hear what you're saying. If you have stumped up, some tickets for the England game are now going for £27,000. If you stump that up, the fact that you don't get quite the same experience, or at least the same information in the stadium, that's quite a worry. Can we pull up image one, Pooch, just to remind everybody of yesterday's matches? Because other than the Portugal-Croatia 2-1 masterclass, everything in that should be converted into a full DVD box set. That game, it was terrific. Just like to highlight Spain 3, Austria 0, which was exactly my prediction. I got that one right. I did tip the Croatians, so I got that one wrong. But my big win, Paul, I said Switzerland would win in 90 minutes, and they did. They vanquished the Desert Foxes 2-0. So I've got another winning bet coming in. I have stemmed my losses. Other thing worth pointing out, Portugal's success means they play Spain in the next round in the Iberian Derby. That is tasty, tasty.
Chef's
really,
kiss.
really looking
Yum, yum, yum. And that's going to be absolutely wonderful. And of course, whilst you've been, very fair here, I should also try and be fair in return. There are many games. Maradona's hand of God, in inverted commas. God was not involved in that whatsoever. Just Maradona and his over bloated ego and cocaine riddled hand. But so what? So what? I just like the idea that that's the human touch involved. Cut to Monday night when we lose on a ridiculous VAR decision, and I've completely changed my mind, Mark, but that is my prerogative today.
Yeah, Paul, we've had a couple of people in the chat. One I saw standing up for VAR. Imagine if it had been available in 1986. Diego Maradona's handball against England obviously never would have stood, and he certainly would have been booked. MLB, Peace Planet. Tech is the best. Was horrible losing to the hand of God. Great knowing these decisions are as accurate as possible. Then I also saw somebody else say we should dive even deeper, an even deeper dive into this Sneeko censor decision. So here is the full statement that I have from a FIFA representative. VAR immediately intervened and controversially allowed the supposed equalising goal for Croatia for offside. The entire decision hinged on whether Croatia's Igor Matanovic slightly grazed across before it reached his teammate who was standing in an offside position. Now, why does that matter? Because you might say, well, if his teammate was in an offside position, then it's offside anyway. But no, because if the ball had been played in by a Portuguese player, let's say if the last touch was from an opponent rather than a teammate, then the supposed goal scorer is not offside. So it all hinges on whether that ball slightly grazed another Croatian player before getting to the guy who scored the goal, or the would have been goal. While video replays showed almost no visible touch, so the video couldn't help you, the referee relied on a micro sensor inside the match ball, which officially registered the faintest of touches. I think it's a bit like cricket, where they can measure whether there's whether the wicket has been just wobbled or something. So it's a micro sensor inside of the ball. Obviously led to ugly scenes. But look, Paul, before we go to our first guest, who's going to prove that football is art and vice versa. If we are all going to watch football on television now because of all the technology, and it meaning that stumping up for a ticket isn't worth it because you don't get the same information flow as you would get by going down the pub and watching on a big screen or sitting at home, do you think we need to dial up the kind of passion of commentary so it sounds a little bit like you are in the stadium? And there's quite a lot of evidence to suggest that kind of English commentary isn't really passionate enough. And Hispanic commentary, whether from Spain or Latin America, if you're watching it, listening to it, and I watched the Spain-Austria game with Spanish commentary, much more passionate. What do you think, Paul? Do you want your commentators and pundits to be straight down the line giving you the info, or do you want them to get into the spirit of the game?
I don't know if it's because there's modern social media and we get to see all sorts of different types of commentary now. But I used to quite like the Charles Gretel pass there, la 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 la. I used to like that sort of stuff. But it does seem a little dull now. The BBC and the ITV commentary does seem a little dull. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ali McMoist and his commentary style. He's very good. It's very informative. It's quite exciting. I don't know if I'd want to go quite as far as the Spanish and the Latin types where they get a little bit too overexcited for me, Mark, but I'd like to see a little bit of passion in there, maybe even a little bit of
how about this then, Paul? Compare and contrast the English and Spanish commentary of a Pedro Polo goal. Here is clip number 3. I think you're going to prefer the Spanish version, Cox. Let's see.
Another thing from Gusto again. Cucurella bang, Joao Pedro! And this time it does count. It is a moment of huge quality.
Malo gusto para Cucurella, buena esta, Joao Pedro! Goal! Newcastle.
Got to love
What
the
I love
Spanish
most about
football.
that is Pedro, the goal scorer, is less than 1% as excited as the commentator there. He's obviously assimilated in the British culture incredibly well, and as a result, doesn't feel it necessary to over celebrate the goal and just get on with the business at hand.
Cox, we're going to be back with you a bit shortly for Cox in the Box, all about the nation of Mexico. Quite a lot. We're going to dive right into the history of it. We're going to have a few language lessons about it. We're going to rename it. We'll be back with you before the news. But joining me next, I'm really excited to introduce Terry Neeshaw, a man who proves that football is art and art is football. Terry, we've got some of your fantastic paintings behind you. I'm actually about to invest. I hope you've still got one. I'm going to invest in a Southampton one, I think, that you've done. So you paint these beautiful sort of team collages we can see behind you there. They look absolutely fantastic. Tell us, is football art and is art football? Tell us about what you do and how can our viewers find more out about it and buy something from your extraordinary wide range, covers so many clubs and nations. Terry, welcome.
Welcome to you. Lovely to, and hello. Thank you very much for having me on your show. Fantastic as it is. Definitely offside, though. I agree. Tech, if it's offside, it's offside. I don't think that's a debate. As for the art, this started many years ago now. Actually, it was the beginning of lockdown, or just prior to lockdown, because my local side, I'm a Darlington lad. My local Darlington team got unceremoniously booted out of the Football League. And they have to raise funds now. They don't get money the way that you would in the league. So they raise funds. And because I was a local businessman, the people who were working on the fundraising asked me if I'd do something to raise money on their big events. And I did. My first painting, I can show you that one. I don't know whether you guys can work that out, was Darlington.
The Quakers.
The Quakers, exactly right. Is that how you see it? Yeah. But because I know these guys, I know the actual guys, Charlie Glenwood's paints, I know these guys personally. Anyway, they on the night, the people in the audience, they loved it. But of course, everybody came to me and said, what about Newcastle? What about Middlesbrough? What about Sunderland? So I very innocently started doing one or two more, and then it was whoosh. It just went off like a rocket. So that's how I got into doing the football shirts. So purely by accident, trying to do some sort of charity to help the football club. And I've done it again.
And how many clubs have you got? Because I think I've seen a Southampton one for that. That Darlington one, it's like the kit throughout the ages, right? So it's the last sort of 15, 20, 25 Quakers shirts, right? Is that what you do for all of the teams? I've just seen Nick Nack in the chat asking Swindon Town. Have you got any Swindon Town stuff? Do you now do all of the teams?
I didn't do Swindon. I'll tell you how it works. When I set it up, I put a little bit of software on the website and invited the footballing audience to vote for who they wanted me to paint next. So it was like a marketing man's dream. See, I'm an old advertising man, and it's a marketing man's dream because they were appealing to me. Paint Manchester United, paint Liverpool. And the way I did it, I said, he who shouts loudest gets the next painting. And of course, consequently, I ended up doing Liverpool, Man City, Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, all that. It just went down the Premier League very, very quickly. And so I painted them. So I was flat out painting them. And then as it got lower down, I then started doing the championship teams. There was some oddball things came out, like some of the Scottish teams came out. There was the odd one, like I got the Springbok, but bizarrely, when I finished the painting, it was the Springbok rugby team were shouting the loudest. Now, whether they got together and said, we've got to get this guy to paint the Springbok rugby shirt. I've got it up on the wall over there. You can't see it, but it's on the wall. I've got all kinds. So that's how it worked. So it's not a case of did I do a paint Swindon Town? It's have Swindon's fans shouted the loudest when it came to me doing my next painting. So that's how it worked.
And Terry, tell us then, how does Nick Nack and the other Swindon Town fans, how do they shout at you? Do they email you? Do they ping you on Twitter?
Yeah, they're going to have to go on the website and shout at me, say, where's Swindon? And if I get enough people, if they're top on the next painting, then that'll be the painting I do. I think it was Coventry. the last one I did. I'm Coventry fans, and that I did 100. Boom, gone just like that.
Wow. And what's the website address people need to go to lobby you then, Terry?
Oh, hey, I know you had Lewis Schaefer on your programme. He's a fantastic guy. And I have had the privilege of meeting that man. I love that. He's absolutely brilliant. And what he always does when he comes on,
there you go.
He always has a little Lewis Schaefer sign. So I thought, quickly this morning, I thought, wow, I'm going to get myself a Lewis Schaefer sign. So there you are. Anybody who wants to contact me, terryneeshaw.com, and have a look at the website. So thank you, Lewis Schaefer, for that little he's a lovely.
Now, Terry, stay with us, but we can see some of the beautiful artwork behind you. Stay with us because perhaps unbeknownst to you, this is not. Oh, there you go. I've got to put in a bid for that. Consider that done. The Southampton one, fantastic.
I'll see you when we come back.
Perhaps unbeknownst to you, Terry, do stay with us, but this isn't your first appearance on the show, because as soon as I saw a clip of yours on X of the painting an England painting, I thought I've got to use this clip on the show. I don't know if we've got clip number 11, Pooch. I hope we've got it ready. I know I got it to you a bit late. Perhaps we can play a little bit of clip number 11. So this is your first live appearance on the show, Terry, but we actually used this clip on one of my very early shows as well. Pooch, any chance we've got clip number 11? I think it is. Absolutely great. Painstaking accuracy as well. Love that you've done Alf Ramsey's famous blue tracksuit top. Absolutely brilliant.
I've got it here.
Oh, great. Terry, go get that. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And I'm glad he had this.
That's it there.
Beautiful. Absolutely made by the Alf Ramsey tracksuit. Superb stuff.
66. And I did watch the World Cup with my father back in 1966, and I can still see us sat together, him just to the right of me sitting here watching it on a black and white television. So when I came to write that song, that we have waited 60 years, that was easy. I started with an old book cover idea. Then I saw the 26. I thought, actually, 66 and 26 go together, and that's where I came up with this idea of the 66 and the 60 years.
Right.
And it was easy then to write the song because it was, I came up with the line, 60 years in the bone. Boom, boom. We've had 60 years waiting. This is the year. And may I say, I've been in my house nearly 30 years now, and I have the same postman, and we're talking about the World Cup, and he assures me this is the year because of a little omen. I don't know whether you guys have checked this out, but never have we come from behind to win a match in the knockout section of the World Cup since
1966. Well, we were behind to West Germany in the final, 1-0, right? Yes, that's right. We were behind 1-0. Before Jeff Hurst equalised, then Martin Peters. You're right. Great statistic. Props to your postman. I need to get him on the show, Terry.
Exactly.
Now, listen, before you go, what do you genuinely think England have got a chance? Because most people would say that, look, we've progressed, but we've not really been on fire other than for about 30 minutes against Croatia. Do you think we can still come good in the end of the tournament? You really are hopeful, or is that heart overhead, Terry?
On paper, we're one of the top teams. Before the World Cup, I've got loads of stuff for you to see. I put down what I thought were the top 12. I did quick drawings of the top 12 most influential players that would influence the World Cup. The only one I got wrong is the Spanish player because I think he's going to be the playmaker. But very quickly, I don't know whether you can see these.
Yep.
These guys. Can you name
Van
these?
Dijk.
Can you see them?
That's Virgil van Dijk, right?
Van Dijk, got it.
Who's that? Yamal? No, England player.
Bellingham.
Jude Bellingham.
Got it. Yeah, shout out if you can tell them. Yeah.
So, all right. So you're thinking that most of the England team are in the top.
Well,
who's that one?
I'm counting down to who's going to be the most influential player in the World Cup.
Okay, who's that one?
Can you see? Manchester. Yeah. De Bruyne. Salah. These are Gutierrez. Guimaraes, sorry. Yeah.
Who's that one? All right, got Kane. Kane is the last one, is he? Is he the most important player?
No. It goes from Kane, then it gets to this guy. I can tell you a story about Erling Haaland if we've got time. It's wonderful.
Messi,
and the last one I think is going to be the most influential player.
Why is he the most influential player?
He's going to get Golden Boot.
You think?
I do. And if anybody can stop France, then we win the World Cup.
Right, Terry. Before I let you go. We're doing a competition right the way throughout the tournament. I'm doing pretty well of it at it at the moment. It's me against the rest of the world. I make predictions for each match, and I ask our guests to make predictions. Because it's me against the rest of the world, I go first because I'm outnumbered. But I need your predictions for Australia versus Egypt. That's at 7:00 this evening, and Argentina versus Cape Verde. I know lots of people are looking forward to that one. At 11:00. I've gone for Australia. I don't know why we've got Mexico versus Ecuador on the screen, but I can tell you the Mexicans won that one. I've gone for 1-1 Australia versus Egypt and 3-0 Argentina versus Cape Verde. What's your prediction?
I would
Australia
say 2-0
versus Egypt.
2-0 easily.
Australia.
Yeah.
Okay, 2-0. And Argentina versus Cape Verde. Heart or head decision there?
possibly 5-0. I think Argentina they're getting very good. And what's happening is the World Cup is often won by teams progressing. You can watch Portugal getting better. You can see Spain just getting better and better the way they're playing.
Yeah.
And England, they've got to get better. They've got to get better. So
can't get much worse than that first half. Can't get much worse than that first half. Terry, look, great to see you. Thanks for sharing some of the great artwork with us. I will be buying that Southampton one for sure. That is a thing of total beauty. Thanks very much. I'll be going to terrynearshaw.com.
I've got one here with your name on it, signed on the back with its sticker.
Brilliant.
This is a gift for very kindly inviting me onto your show. Absolutely been a pleasure. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Fantastic.
Terry, thanks so much. Been absolutely brilliant. We'll get you on later in the tournament when hopefully your optimism about England comes to fruition. Thanks so much, Terry. Remember, terrynearshaw.com. Go get your football art. Let me bring him back. Paul Cox. Cox in the box. Before we go to the news, I want to know everything about Mexico. Paul, what have we got in Cox's box about the great nation of Mexico? Or as they call it, but we are in English language only channel, Mexico. Oh, we lost Paul's sound.
Can we hear my sound now?
Oh, yeah. Got you now.
Smashing. Thanks, Pooch. Look, quick shout out to Terry. Absolutely wonderful art. Didn't mention Pompey once. Big problem there. Seems to have done you some Southampton stuff for free. Obviously a massive issue. And then waxing lyrical about Lewis Schaefer, who I worked with every week for 3 years. Let me tell you, that guy's not nice. He's mentally ill. Very funny on screen. I'll give him that. Anyway, one thing I will say, Mexico is stats galore. There's so much to learn about Mexico. I wish they weren't playing England. I could enjoy it a lot more. But after 3 centuries of being called New Spain, that's right, New Spain, the country officially held the title Mexico Empire for less than 3 years, and that was between 1821 and 1824 before changing its name again to become the United States of Mexico, which, believe it or not, peeps, is exactly as they are known today. The dollar sign that you see all over the US dollar, we see all ubiquitously around the world. The dollar sign is a Spanish-Mexican invention. The sign originated from Spanish-American peso, used in Mexico, and then was later adopted for the US dollar. Interestingly, one last fact on that's non-football, because I've got plenty of footballing facts. Remittance is coming home, my notes say here. Much thanks. I'm going to give her a shout out, actually. She never gets a shout out. I don't know if that's a privacy reason, but much thanks to Angela, the wonderful Angela. This is 5 days in a row for me. I couldn't have done any of this without Angela, so thank you, Angela. Remittance coming home. Remittances obviously are what Mexican civilians that are working abroad pay back to the country, and remittances mostly from the US, because a lot of Mexicans get to the US. Donald Trump's mentioned that a few times. Make up 4.5% of Mexico's GDP, and its largest source of foreign income, greater even than the foreign direct investment and tourism and oil revenues. But let's get on to the football, shall we? Mexico play their games at the Azteca, but we're going to have something to say about that shortly, because this is an English-speaking channel, and Mark have our views on that, but I'll hold that back. Please stay tuned to find out. It plays at an altitude of 7,200 feet, and there's been much talk, even in the chat today, about potential altitude sickness, but 7,200 feet is 1,094 Peter Crouches. That's how high above sea level the Azteca is, Mark. Incredible stuff. The Mexico, as we mentioned previously in the week, is the first nation to have ever held the World Cup 3 times in a row. 70, 1986, and of course 2026. England and Mexico have only met once before at the World Cup, and that was in 1966 when England beat them 2-0 in the group stage. Also in 1966 was the first ever game played at the stadium, and that was Mexico versus Spurs, Tottenham Hotspurs, and Tottenham won 1-0, Mark. We know how rubbish Tottenham are, so that means that everything is in our favour. If Tottenham can beat Mexico, then anybody can. I think even Pompey could beat Mexico. I'm sure England will too.
That is quite weird. The first ever game there was Mexico against Tottenham, and the Spurs won. Incredible. Now, you're right, Paul. We've got to pick up on some areas of language. I keep insisting UK Live Online is an English language station, and I keep insisting that we have to make sure that we use the English versions of every single country. So we're going with Ivory Coast, not Côte d'Ivoire, for example. It's Turkey, not Türkiye, or whatever they call themselves. It's Germany, it's not Deutschland. It's Spain, it's not España, and so on. So, Paul, I know you'll agree with me that we should stick to our strict rules of being an English language only station, and I have therefore delved into, and I'm told that the exact etymology of the word Mexico has been a subject of scholarly debate for centuries due to the complexity of the language Nahuatl, which is the old Aztec language. And Paul, I know you'll also agree with me that if there is one thing this channel and this show stands for, it is that we take subjects of scholarly debate over centuries over etymology damned God seriously. Right?
Very seriously.
So, the most common theory that people have come up with is that Mexico is derived from a combination of various Nahuatl language elements. Metzitli, which means moon, and Exitl, which means navel or belly button or your center. So, I've consulted all of our brilliant linguists around here, and I've decided. And, you know, we need to really work out what we're going to call each of our opponents. As I say, we have destroyed Dr. Congo, but I've decided if in Aztecian it means moon and navel or belly button, that we are up against. And please pull up image number 3, Pooch, image number 3. Our opponents on Sunday night, moon belly. That's what it actually means in English. We are up against Mr. Moon Belly on Sunday night. So do we have the guts to shoot for the moon? Are we agreed the official name for Mexico in English is Moonbelly. It's England against Mr. Moonbelly on Sunday night. That's what the linguists say. That's what the experts say. After centuries of scholarly debate, who are we to argue? Do I have your agreement,
Exactly.
Mr. Gott?
You 100% have my agreement, maybe 100% plus a little extra. Mr. Moonbelly, you're going down, mate. Mr. Moonbelly, it's all over.
Brilliant. Paul, we'll be back with you shortly. I've got another great guest coming up after we've had the news, not with Edward Hughes. Interestingly enough, our next guest has something in common with Edward Hughes, but we have the news with the beautiful Fiona.
Morning, I'm Fiona MacLeod. Sorry about that. What do you think about my Ed Hughes impression? Oh, what a day in Blighty. Keir McNobber has finally apologised for the state's historic forced adoption scandal. A stain on our history, he declared. Cheers, mate. Meanwhile, the knob of the North is promising radical devolution and good growth, because handing more power to the regions has never gone wrong before. Fiscal discipline, too. I know Nobbs, and he's a right one. In actual progress, they've scrapped the ancient Vagrancy Act, so rough sleeping is no longer a crime. Brilliant. Problem solve. Just let illegal migrants take up residence wherever they like. And Gary Glitter's been hit with fresh historical sex charges. Who wants to be in my gang? Truly Britain at its finest. Pass the booze.
Thank you, Fiona, with the news. Now, for those of you who are missing Ed Hughes with the news, I've got great news for you. My next guest is a man called Ed Hughes, top public affairs guru, Arsenal fan. Let's get Ed's take on the World Cup so far and his predictions. How the devil are you, my friend? How are you enjoying the World Cup?
I'm very well, Mark. How are you? I'm starting to really enjoy it. I found the early games, the group stages, pretty difficult. Being an Arsenal fan, I've watched defensive football with players coached within an inch of their life all season. And while I deem that highly necessary to get us over the line, it didn't make for great viewing. But actually, now that we've got out of that and we've got into some knockout stages, it's not too bad. And I'm kind of enjoying the new format.
Yeah, tell us about some of the Arsenal players then, because Rice is obviously an absolutely pivotal player for England, Saka as well. But I was saying on yesterday's show, I'm a bit worried. Rice in particular, absolutely exhausted. We've also got Madueke, haven't we? So, what's your take on the Arsenal players? Look, I know you had heartbreak in the Champions League final, basically a colossally successful season, but my God, a very long season too. Are you worried that the Arsenal players in the England squad could be a little bit jaded, right? I'm just a bit worried we're not getting them firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I think they definitely are. And you can see the contrast between those players and sort of Bellingham and Kane, for example, who play out of the Premier League and, have had subsequently some rest. Rice and Saka particularly were looking really sort of dogged towards the end of the season. Rice, who's normally such a sort of reliable player that you can always count on, had a few iffy games. So, and when you see him coming off for England, he's putting ice on his hamstring straight away. You can see that in his corners, again, normally sort of super reliable corner taker, sending them off really low and, sort of stuff you don't expect from him. So they're clearly not at their best. The fact that Madueke is starting ahead of Saka is clearly only because he can't do 90 minutes. I don't think any football fan in the country, or not many, would argue that, full power Saka would not be a starter in that position.
Yeah, so what's the strategy here then? I mean, have we just got to grin and bear it and hope they can power through? I mean, I even speculated, I know this won't happen, but, is there a case for resting Rice against Mexico? You hope, even without one of your very best players on the pitch, you get through. But if you do, suddenly, he's a bit, maybe not fresh as a daisy, but a bit fresher. If we do get through and have to face Brazil versus Norway, because my worry is just with each additional game, as we face better and better opponents, we've slayed Dr. Congo, but we got Mr. Moonbelly next, and it's going to get even tougher after that. Might just be a case for a bit of man management. I know it's risky. I know the orthodoxy is always just put out your best starting 11, but what do you think? Or is Saka, having not been used that much, should he be fresh now? Should we start with him?
I mean, I think this is the big test for Tuchel, and we'll sort of see, see how if he's going to sort of make the decisions that can get us further in the tournament that perhaps we've missed with previous managers. I mean, I think everyone would say that an unfit Rice, given our current squad, is still better than not having Rice on the pitch, and so I think you have to take it a game at a time in a World Cup competition. You don't know what's going to come next. Theoretically, saving him up for some knockout stage that we're going to be at later on would be good, but that's not really worth anything if you don't get there. So I just think you have to play the game in front of you. And given our current squad, clearly Rice still has to start, even with the clear limitations he's got.
Couple of shout outs for Mainu in the chat. Yeah, I mean, Kobe, we could go with Kobe Mainu. Look, what are your plans for Sunday night then, Ed? In proof that a government can actually change the law very quickly if it's minded to, the pubs will be open until 5 o'clock on Monday morning. Not ideal for people with a normal working life. What are your plans? Staying up for it? Going to the pub for it? Going to bed and praying that you wake up to a good result. What's the Ed Hughes strategy?
I think I'm certainly going to try and make it out. You don't get the opportunity to stay in the pub that long, that often, so you should definitely take advantage of it. And I noticed that actually the game can only go on, even with penalties and everything, till sort of 3 o'clock in the morning, basically, or 3:45. So we've got an extra hour, which I think is a real credit to Keir Starmer and his commitment to a proper session. So he's had a bad Premiership, but in this act, he's redeemed himself slightly, in my opinion.
Yeah, great. So his legacy is he's going to give us an hour and 15 minutes of drinking up time. That will go down as the great achievement of the Starmer government. What do you think of Tuchel saying that he wants kids to stay up for it? I'm all in favour of that as well, right? As you say, it's not a once-in-a-lifetime experience exactly, and it is still the round of 16. All of that said, you don't get the chance to see many more exciting, pivotal games of football than this, right? I reckon the Nippers should stay up for it and, sod it if they're tired for school the next day. An experience worth having, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sort of surprised that anyone thinks that you shouldn't. These sort of big events, I remember as a child, the sort of turn of the millennium, these sort of things, it was sort of considered perfectly normal that children would stay up. In the South Korea World Cup, where it started very early in the morning, very special provisions were made at school so you could go in and watch it. The country broadly has adapted well, I think, to something that a great many people in the United Kingdom are very passionate about. So, is anyone arguing against this, I guess, would be my...
Well, I'd be... look, I'm spending my life out of England for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I'd be amazed if there isn't a plethora of regulators and Labour MPs arguing that this would be some sort of child abuse. They might miss going to their free breakfast club, for crying out loud. However, if you do stay up for it, be a little bit careful, kids, about going to school the next day. Ed, let's see what you think of this. Could we play clip number 4, Pooch? This could be a bit risky for kids next Monday morning. I think it's clip number 4.
Ben, what's wrong?
Got kicked out of school for wearing an England kit. Apparently it's offensive now. What's Britain come to?
Damn right, Nipper. Goddamn right. Stay up, go down the pub with your parents. Remember, you got an hour and a quarter of drinking up time. Power through, go to school in your England kit, and they'll kick you out so then you can have a nap in the afternoon. That's got to be the best, most responsible parenting strategy, wouldn't you say, Ed?
Absolutely, 100%.
Now, I've got another thing as well. Do you think we should start having football skills as part of the national curriculum? Look, usually I'm kind of against over-prescriptive state policy, but, I just think if we are serious as a collective endeavour to win the World Cup at some point, well, let's say win it this time, retain it twice in a row, we've got to start teaching kids football skills as a key part of the curriculum at schools. Are you with me on that one, Ed?
I am, absolutely. I mean, I think it's probably something that previously wouldn't have had to have been mandated. I mean, when I was at school, this was good for me because I love football, but you couldn't get away from football. Every other PE lesson was football, the playground was football. The 50% of your time spent at school consisted of something related to football, as far as I can remember. And so if that's not the case anymore, then yes, we should certainly force it upon them so that future generations can win the World Cup.
So I'm going to show you what I want kids to learn at school. This should be, sod learning foreign languages. Everybody speaks English these days. Yeah, you need, a bit of reading, writing, and arithmetic. This is the sort of stuff I want kids to learn in school. So we got clip number 5, Pooch. This is what I want our little nippers to learn how to do. This is invaluable skills for a future in the workplace. Clip number 5. Earth calling Pooch for clip number 5.
Oh, すごい。はい。
Kicks the ball around that bloody great concrete circle, catches it in the back of her rucksack. That's what you need to. That's what we need to be having for kids in schools.
Oh, すごい。はい。
There you go. That's what Asian kids are taught. Need to bring that to English schools, don't we? What are your thoughts on England's prospects, Ed? Are you a glass half full, glass half empty when you're going to be in the pub at 5 o'clock on Monday morning?
Well, it's a sort of head and heart situation. My heart says that we can absolutely win and we'll find a way. My head tells me I don't see us getting past France, to be honest. I mean, they look pretty immense. I can see us beating every other team. I think I'm not too worried about Mexico. I think that people sort of lost their heads a bit after the last game. And an absolute England thing to do in this situation would be to go and win in Mexico 3-0, which I think something like that will happen. And then I can sort of see us sort of in a similar way to the Euros, limping through to the final, sort of dodgy result here, dodgy result there, but sort of getting there. But using my head, and much as it pains me to say as a patriotic Englishman, I think when we come up against France, it's going to be a real challenge.
Wadaz says, can we train that little Asian kid to teach Ratchford how to use his left foot? Ed, before I let you go, I need your predictions. There's a predictions competition, Mark against the rest of the world. Because it's me against the rest of the world, I go first, and I'm going to need your prediction for Colombia versus Ghana. 1-0 to Colombia, I've gone for. So you can have any score other than 1-0. What do you reckon for that match?
I think 2-1 to Colombia.
2-1 to Colombia. And the other one I need your prediction for is Canada versus Morocco. I've liked the Moroccans throughout this tournament. I think they could go very, very deep. I'm fond of Canada. The only Southampton player at the tournament is Kyle Larin. He's in the Canadian squad, although he's been benched for the last match or so. I've gone with head over heart there. I've gone for 1-0 to Morocco. You can have any score bar 1-0 to Morocco. What's your tip?
I agree with you, but I think it's going to be the slightly higher score. I'll go 3-0 to Morocco.
3-0. I fancy them to go deep in the tournament. Ed, great to speak to you. Thanks for predicting that England will see off Mr. Moonbelly and eject him far into space from the Aztec Stadium. It's not the Estad Azteca. That's Spanish. It's the Aztec Stadium, for crying out loud in English. We will eject Mr. Moonbelly far, far into space, although we'll be halfway bloody there by the time we've made it 7,000 feet up to the Aztec Stadium. Congrats on Arsenal. Great to see you, Ed. Look forward to catching up with you soon. All the best, my man. Let's bring back Cox in the box, because I want to dig into this, how we're going to beat Mr. Moonbelly. And perhaps we can call up and keep on the screen image 2, Pooch. This is about how well host nations have done, because there's a great belief that being the host nation means you have a kind of massive advantage, every chance of winning the tournament. Well, throughout World Cup history, these are the host nations that have lifted the World Cup. 1930, Uruguay win it. They beat Argentina in the final. Italy win it under Mussolini, I think, in 1934. I think they beat Czechoslovakia in the final. Go forward to 1966. England win at Wembley, 4-2 against West Germany. West Germany beat the Dutch on home soil in 1974. Argentina also beat the Dutch on home soil in 1978. And then France were hosts and winners in 1998. They beat Brazil 3-0 in the final, if I recall correctly. Now, the reason I want you to take a very careful look at that slide, Paul and rest of them, is most of the host nations who won it, you'll see this is kind of in the early part of the history of the World Cup. 1930, 1934, 1966, 74, 78. We've only had one host winner since Margaret Thatcher became Prime Minister in 1979, the French. No other host nation has won it since then. So, Paul, why are we so worried about Mexico, for Christ's sake, or Mr. Moonbelly, as we have now agreed to call him? Home advantage, host advantage was a thing of the past. We're stuck in our ways. Anyone can win anywhere. Talk me out of that, Paul.
Absolutely. Moonbelly's not going to win it. Look at the state of him. Also, I love the fact that your benchmark is Margaret Thatcher. Some people use the birth of Christ as their benchmark, not Mark Littlewood. Everything is around the year of our Lord, Margaret Thatcher, 1979. That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that's a statistic I didn't see until yesterday. An incredible statistic, actually, because it feels as if home advantage is absolutely everything. Now, I think I haven't seen this, if we extrapolated that out to semi-finalists and finalists, it might show a different picture. I don't know. Maybe that's just rose-tinted in my mind. But yeah, it doesn't mean at all. And look at it. Are Mexico going to win? No, because they're going to get beat by England. Are the US going to win? No, because they've turned the game into 4 quarters. Are Canada going to win? Absolutely not. And not unless they get a couple of mooses on the pitch. So I don't think it's going to be true of this tournament, but it's absolutely fascinating to look back. And the fact that they were all early on, and I suggest that that's probably because of travel. Back then, you had to travel by horseback or camel or whatever to get to a World Cup. It could take up to 3 years to get to a World Cup. That little known fact, that's why the World Cups are 4 years apart, because it used to take 4 years to travel between World Cups.
That's brilliant. But look, I think that might be right. And in fact, on the show a few days ago, we played the clip of the 4 European teams travelling by boat, right, to Montevideo. It was much more challenging back then. Obviously, now they're all flying by luxury jet. But look, we might have to get helicopters to get the England team up to the Aztec Stadium, right? This is the key point of home advantage, right? And Mexico have, other than against Moonbelly, has only lost to Spurs, basically, and a couple of other teams in that stadium. It's this altitude point. And I did see somebody in the chat earlier asking, does it affect the flight of the ball? It does. But the key thing is it's much harder for players to get oxygen. We're going to need oxygen masks, not water, during the hydration breaks, I would have thought. And the Mexicans are used to it. Mr. Moonbelly is used to being that far up in space. Paul, let's watch this little clip about the Azteca, right? Which should give you an idea of its history. And perhaps I'm wrong, that perhaps this is an example of home advantage being really, really important. It's clip number 2 will give you an indication of Moonbelly at the Azteca Stadium. Have we got clip number 2, Pooch?
England isn't just playing Mexico, they're playing the Azteca. Because on paper, this is a round of 16 game between Mexico and England. But in reality, England is walking into one of the biggest home advantages in World Cup history. You see, Mexico has played over 150 games at the Azteca, and they've only lost 8 times. Then you add the altitude, over 7,000 feet above sea level. And then you add more than 80,000 Mexican fans. And then you add the fact that this is now the 3rd World Cup hosted at the Azteca. And Mexico has still never lost a World Cup match there. Not in 1970, in 86, or in 2026. So England isn't just trying to beat Mexico, they're trying to beat the fans, the altitude, the history, and one of football's greatest fortresses. So now I'm curious, is England good enough to beat Mexico at the Azteca, or is this actually the kind of night where the stadium becomes the difference? Make sure to follow so you don't miss out on any of the stories behind football's biggest moments.
Are we overplaying this, Paul? 7,000 whatever feet above sea level. Does it really make that much of a difference? As I say, I've been trying to work out what training we've done for it. I just don't know. But is this just
they're arriving today, and hopefully they're training at altitude. Look, does it make a difference? Yes. These are top level athletes now, though. Because obviously Mike has decided to pay for us and Pooch has upgraded us to first class and we will be flying to Mexico City. If they said that you and I, Mark, have to play in the first quarter, we would struggle. largely because of the lunch we would have had, several glasses of the old Greeno, and it would, that would be a problem for us. But this isn't going to be a problem for top level young athletes, I don't think. And we've both got to play there. The Mexicans aren't playing there week in, week out either. Mexicans don't play at altitude every day of the week. Some Mexicans even play all around Europe. They're not playing in those conditions the whole time. So I think it's going to be okay. And of course, records are there to be broken. By the way, Panama never, ever lost a game, or a long time since they lost a game after going 1-0 down against any opponents. Bosh, 2-1, lovely jubbly. Mr. Moonbelly doesn't stand a chance. I don't care if that Moonbelly is there to protect him, because that's where he stores all his oxygen. Let me tell you, Kane is going to burst the Moonbelly, Mark.
Well, Wadaz says in the chat we're going to have to play football at a kind of ticky-taka, very, very slow pace because of the altitude. But my God, I've watched every minute of every England game. We've hardly been rapid and fast. It's been at a bloody walking pace so far. It plays to our skill set, right? Slow it down.
It's had an essence of sort of old man walking football about it at times, hasn't it? The sort of thing that you and I can get competitive in now, Mark. So maybe we are just preparing the whole time. We've been preparing to play the Moonbelly at Aztec. Who knows?
Yeah. Need a good old-fashioned 1-0 as grabbing a goal, then hold on against the temperature. Yeah, maybe the case. Look, we're pretty confident, I think. I think it's going to be arduous. We'll get to our predictions before the show. They play like they're wearing oxygen tanks anyway, says Nick Nack. But look, we slayed the mighty Dr. Congo. Surely we can eject Mr. Moonbelly into space. Here's a little sneak preview of what I think will happen, what I want to happen. Pooch, please play clip number 9. Easy stuff. Moonbelly will be kicked into space, and you don't need much of a kick from that high in the air to get them right into space, right? Look, we've got to look forward to tonight's matches, but before we do so, I just wanted to say I'm doing pretty well on the predictions game. That's bloody annoying. I don't have any money running on this. But image number 4, these are all of our predictions for tonight. If we could have image number 4 first, Pooch. I just want to wallow in the fact that I'm not absolutely terrible at predicting everything. This is the score so far of all of the matches we've had. Whoever gets closer gets a point. There have been a few matches where we've had to split the points because the result has been halfway between our predictions. Me on 43.5 points. Cox and the rest of the world on a pathetic 27.5. But let's have a look forward to the weekend games. What stands out for you, just to remind people, and Paul, actually, let me get your predictions, then we can put up that prediction slide. Paraguay versus France. Love that Paraguay knocked out the Germans, but I've gone 2-0 for the French. What about yourself, Paul? I think you've gone 3-1 for the French, right?
I have gone 3-1. I just see the French conceding a goal, but it being quite straightforward for them too. I think it was Terry who said that. No, it wasn't Terry. Who was your name of your last guest? Sorry, I've forgotten his name already. Ed was saying that
I think we'll have a chant about this, right? I mean,
no,
I know
we did have a
Fiona's
chant
got
about
the
this.
news, but look, we've had Ed Hughes on. So what do we all sing? 2 Ed Hughes and 1 World Cup. Doodah, doodah. 2 Ed Hughes and 1 World Cup. Doodah, doodah, day. Yeah, Ed was saying he likes the French a lot. So do you.
Did you notice, by the way, there was a great big painting of HMS Victory behind Ed, and I took that to heart to mean that Ed was choosing the blue side of Hampshire over the red and white side of Hampshire. That was obviously a sign. Ed is a great man. Look, the standout game, if we just park Moonbelly versus the great England for a moment, is probably Argentina versus Cape Verde, because not only will it be England fans just celebrating anybody playing against Argentina, but I think many people around the rest of the world have taken Cape Verde to their hearts. That's tonight, actually, at 11 o'clock. But before that is Australia versus Egypt, which is the Socceroos versus the Pharaohs. Obviously, a country full of criminals versus Egypt. Criminals always do quite well at football. I played a lot of football growing up. Some of the best teams I played in were alongside people who had gone to prison for GBH. Tremendous skill at all levels of aggression. But I do see Egypt, the African team, picking up on that. But it's great to see Australia get through to this point. Then, as I say, we're on to Argentina versus Cape Verde. Who doesn't want to see Cape Verde progress there?
Of course.
Not
Everybody
just
does.
because they're playing the people who tried to steal the Falklands back from us, but Maggie Thatcher stood up to them, the great Maggie Thatcher. But because Cape Verde have won our hearts. They've certainly won our hearts during this
you're
tournament.
right. And here's the stat on this, Paul. I mean, Cape Verde have never, ever lost a World Cup match. The Argies have lost 23. And in the year of, let me get this right, we're in the year 47 AM, aren't we? It's 47 years after Margaret, the official calendar, the official Mark Littlewood calendar. But the Argies have lost 23 matches, Cape Verde nil. But, nevertheless, come on, let's be realistic here. The Argies are favourites. Then we move on to Colombia, Ghana. The Colombians are quite tasty as well. I don't think they're going to win it, but I expect them to get through that one. Canada, Morocco, I also went through with Ed Hughes. Look, the one I want you to talk about a bit as well. Actually, on Paraguay, France, we both agree the French are going to win, and we haven't had any French fans on the show yet. So I want to show that basically the gap of the English channel is not as big as you might think. There's quite a lot of similarity between French fans and English fans. So maybe it only comes to the football community that unites us all together. But I think you'll agree with me that French fans of association football have almost exactly the same attitude as English fans. Check out clip number 7, Pooch, to show that the French and the English are pretty goddamn similar. Bloody brilliant. And can I just say, it's fantastic to see the French speaking English at last, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, God, yeah. The language of the UN, French, I don't think so. It's always British. It's English, should I say. No such thing as Britain, obviously. But look, it's great. I mean, I didn't know they had a sense of humour. I've been to France. I've met French people. They didn't seem to laugh at anything I said, which is the test of anybody's humour. So, yeah, it's great to see. And I don't know if they opened the bar or not, but she didn't seem too put off by them. She seemed to enjoy it somewhat. I do think in this World Cup, they haven't quite taken advantage of the drinkers a little bit too much in the US. They've been slightly scared of them. We heard of bars being shut down because there was English and Scottish fans nearby. Seems a little ridiculous to me. Take the payday. You can rebuild the bar with the money you take from the beer sales, can't you?
Yeah. Let's call up Image 5. Image 5 will show us all of the weekend's matches that we've been chewing through. Obviously, the main event is Mr. Moonbelly versus England. 1 a.m. Monday morning, Sunday night, depending how you measure it. But look, it's an absolute smorgasbord of fantastic football. But Coxie, you haven't told us yet, and I think you've made a very bold prediction here. Brazil versus Norway, tasty game. I've gone for 2-1 to the Brazilians, but you are expecting an upset. Am I right?
I'm expecting Norway to win this game, and I tell you why. There's been something about this Brazilian team that says to me when they come up against a big side like the Norwegians, they might just struggle. All the tippy-tappy, all the skills just might not pay off. And in a fit of frustration, they could give the ball away to someone like Erling Haaland, and it'll be 1-0 to Norway.
So that is, if you're inclined to go for an all-nighter Sunday night, Monday morning, you might want to get to the pub for 9 o'clock to preload for that Brazil versus Norway game. I've gone for a Brazil win. Cox has gone for 2-1 to Norway. You can preload for that match. That will get you through to about 11 o'clock, maybe a bit later if there's extra time or even penalties. Then you can get a couple of jars in while you warm up for the national anthem. At 1 a.m. is the big one. Mr. Moonbelly versus England. Look, both of us have been a bit cautious here because we're asking people to predict the result after 90 minutes. I don't know if we've got all of the predictions. I know there's a plethora of them. I don't know if Pooch has got all of the predictions on a slide yet, but I've gone for 1-1 to Mexico. Paul, you've gone 1-1 for Moonbelly and England. You've gone Moonbelly 2, England 2. We both expect a draw after 90 minutes, right? Talk us through that one, Paul.
Well, look, I see us scoring goals. I also see Mexico scoring goals. What I haven't seen so far is us really take command for longer than 20 minutes in the first 20 minutes of the second half against Croatia. What I do think is there could be a replica of us rushing forward like we did against Croatia, because the Mexicans are going to play. They're going to feel comfortable at 1,094 Peter Crouches, and they're going to want to play. So I think that'll open the door. But I think part of them playing will mean they will score goals. I see this going to extra time. However, as Ed Hughes said, this could easily be, and it would be typical of England to be a 2 or 3-0 to England. But there's something, when you're supporting England, we could be playing against just 3 Mexico players because everybody had gone down with some sort of moon belly disease. But I'd still feel very cautious about the result. So I'm going to go with 2-2. I see us scoring. I see Mexico scoring. But I do rather hope that we win after extra time. Of course, I do not want us to go to penalties, Mark. No one ever wants that as an English fan.
And we're in extra time now. Look, my bet reflects this as well. I think we've got that on image 6. Hopefully, I'm on a bit of a run. I am predicting that it will be Mr. Moonbelly 1, England 1 after 90 minutes. So rather unusually for me, I've matched my prediction with my actual bet. Moonbelly 1, England 1 after 90 minutes. I think England will win in extra time or on penalties. Attractive odds there, I think. I've got odds of 7 on Moonbelly 1, England 1. Unmissable Sunday night, Monday morning. I'm expecting there to be a major drop in productivity right across the UK, or certainly in England. Well, actually, no, because the Scots will be on cheering on Moonbelly, won't they? So probably right across the UK, I'm expecting productivity to be pretty goddamn low on Monday morning, whether we win or whether we lose. But look, we've slayed Dr. Congo. Moonbelly's next, then on to the next one. And just as an indication, Paul, about how we should play, do you agree? Keep it slow-paced, show your skill on the ball. Is that what you need to do at the Aztec Stadium against Moonbelly?
Look, one thing needs to happen. I know it's an old adage, but just feed the goat and he will score. We noticed with the 2 goals against Dr. Congo that it was just 2 balls fed into Kane, and he did the rest. It's about getting the ball to Kane and getting Kane in positions. I don't want to see Kane playing on the halfway line, trying to make things happen. Get him forward, get the players to get the ball to Kane, and the GOAT shall score.
There's the hope. Well, I've got a hope that if we play it slow, eventually get the ball to the right player, we might win. But I want to show as our outro, and make sure you've hit liked, make sure you subscribe. We've now burst through 15,000 subscribers on the channel, but also hit that thumbs up button below. Helps with the algorithm, and we're all about algorithms here on Mark Littlewood's World Cuppa show. Paul, I think we should play like the greatest team that mankind has ever seen, the Brazilians of 1970, Pele as their talisman. And in that 1970 World Cup final at the Aztec Stadium, they scored what I still consider to be the greatest goal ever scored in football, certainly the greatest ever team goal. And I think if England can just play a bit like this, then we can kick Mr. Moonbelly right into outer space. How about this as our outro? What I think is the best goal ever scored. It's clip number 10, a Carlos Alberto goal to win the World Cup for Brazil, that great Brazilian team of 1970. Feast your eyes on this, and we'll see you Monday once England are through to the next round and Mr. Moonbelly is ejected into space. Here's Carlos Alberto and the wonderful Brazil to play you out clip number 10.
Piazza. Ronaldo. Pelé. Yes. Oh, this is great stuff. seem to take it in turns to give an exhibition. Jairzinho, number 7. Pele. Up comes Carlo Alberto on the right. And it's 4! Oh, that was sheer delightful football.